Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Google Plus Week. I'm Dan McDermott, your host in Bentonville, Virginia. Let's go look at our panel. We have Mr. Alan Furstenberg in New York. Welcome, Alan.
Hey, Dan.
And we have in Idaho, we have Mr. Harold Carey. Welcome, Harold.
Welcome.
We have two guests, Jody and her gigantic dog.
And this is the baby. This is Jewel.
Jewel. Welcome, Jewel. Wow.
Hi.
From Newport Beach, California, Mr. Cadeas Kalud. Welcome, Cadeas.
What's up, everybody?
And we will have Pam at some point. Pam is going to be joining us from Menifee, California. So there we have it, and we'll have others coming and going throughout the show. I think, Jody, you've got to do Brad's show, right, at some point.
Yeah, I have to drop off.
And that starts with the new time here. They don't change times there, do they?
No, they don't. Sorry.
All right. Okay, so here we go. First up is a new format for links that I have not seen consistently implemented, but maybe phasing it in, or I think I've also heard that you have to have a certain size picture in the post for it to, basically what it does is, for example, when you post a YouTube video like I just did, the YouTube video is large underneath the post. And in the past, if you would just post a link to a story, you'd have a little tiny thumbnail and then the link. Now, if everything works right, you have a giant image and then the link below that. I like it a lot. What do you guys think?
I think it's great. The biggest problem I have with it is that nobody has any clue what in the world's going on with it. There's been no official announcement. There's been no official guidance for what you need to do to actually get the big picture. There's been no guidance for where the text comes from. There has been no guidance about anything. They launched it without telling anybody and left website operators going, what the? So I think it's great. I think it actually looks pretty good, except when there are some bugs, and there are some bugs. But those will get fixed. My biggest peeve is that really nobody knows what in the world's going on with it. And nobody from Google's talking.
Now, just to show folks what we're talking about here is if you look at this post from CBS News, in the past it would look like this one from Paul Brocklehurst, where you have a small thumbnail and then you have a link next to it. And so now you have the link below and you have a large picture. And I think the difference, like I said, they're either phasing it in, or if this story didn't have a big enough photo in it, then it doesn't do it.
From the testing that it appears to be that it requires a minimum size picture for it to happen at all. And under that, and it seems to happen relatively consistently, unless the page has other errors. And this is kind of what's confusing, is that it's really not clear under what those conditions are. But it seems to be fully rolled out. Everyone is seeing it for at least most posts. And in fact, if you go back and look at old ones, they even have suddenly switched over. So it's out there. It's just not out there consistently for reasons that aren't obvious.
I found that typically, if you have good art with a post and it's prominent, if you take the time to find a photo and upload the photo with the post, then you'll get more engagement. But just because it stands out and people stream more. And so in this case, you don't need to do that. I guess now you just need to find a version of the story from whatever news source that has a large photo. And it kind of works sometimes. So I think that's great to make things stand out more. But now I guess everything will stand out equally. So,
well, I think the other important thing about this is from two rewrites ago, they used to include the text as part of the link, and it mysteriously vanished at some point, and now it's back. I think that's the other really neat thing about this. Jody, what are your thoughts on the new layout?
I have to unmute. Dan, I agree with you, and well, actually, I agree with Alan. I find it somewhat confusing because there's no rhyme or reason, at least from what I can see, as to why some posts would have it and some wouldn't. But I think, fortunately or unfortunately, we all kind of get used to these sudden changes that are thrust upon us. Both Facebook and Google Plus are notorious for making changes without any fanfare, so just kind of roll with it, and who knows what tomorrow's going to bring. So.
Now,
Well, I uploaded one of mine to it, and it didn't change. It went back to the old way. I had a fairly good sized picture, so I don't know what size pictures I should put on my post to make it work, because my post took up the full width of my blog, and it didn't work.
Well, here's what we know. I believe the minimum width for it is it's either 506 pixels or 605 pixels. I can't remember which offhand. So we know that. The other thing is that your blog needs to be, your page needs to actually advertise what the link is. So while in the past, the spider that's gone and read these things has made assumptions about which picture to use or given you the choice, now you have to include specific markup as part of the page to indicate which picture you want. Most blogs are doing this, some aren't, and if they're doing it incorrectly, the spider's not picking it up.
also, Alan, some of the posts, as I look down my stream here, every so often you get a really large post. It's either a YouTube, like here's a YouTube video someone shared, that takes the full width of all three columns, and then I guess that's partially just random, Alan, and partially it's if the post has a photo that can be expanded to that degree, or do we know?
We don't know.
Makes it a lot easier for developers when they don't know these things.
I found out that my post, if I post something, it takes up 3 columns after I post it. And so it's not based upon popularity. It does a lot of times it takes your posts and features them, because over half of the posts that I post up there takes up all 3 columns.
Okay, so one of the other problems is I use a service called Friends Plus Me. I think Mike Elgin uses it as well, and a lot of other folks.
Well, before we move on to that, I kind of want to get Cadeas's and Pam's thoughts about this new post as well. You guys have any thoughts on this?
I've only seen it once or twice myself. Admittedly, I haven't really spent as much time on Google Plus this week as I normally do, but I've only seen it a couple of times, so I like it. I mean, big pictures is always better than than little tiny thumbnails, in my opinion. And as I get older, the more that opinion is valid for my eyesight. So yeah.
And I've liked it since the day it started happening. The only thing I didn't know was that I hadn't played with actually trying to post one myself and actually play with it, so I didn't really know that there were problems. So when I was hearing you talk about the different problems, I don't know, at least so far what you mentioned, I don't know if they're 100% problems. More so, I mean, because it seems like the algorithm is kind of doing the determination as to what pictures are there and how they display and all that stuff. So I don't know if it's just that they need to improve their algorithm, but I haven't played with it enough to know 100%.
I think it's the minimum width, because I did a little test, and there was a discussion about that, and I saw typically if you go down your stream, Cadeas, and find one that's new and find one that's old style, and see if the picture that they're using is smaller than whatever, right? Because it's got to be, what is it, 450 you said, Alan? There's some minimum width, I think.
We think it's either 506 or 605. I just can't remember which of the two it is.
Okay. So now we'll have to resize. I'm just kidding. Moritz, you've seen this. Moritz is with Google. Anything Moritz says may or may not be the same view as Google. Welcome, Morris. How are you in Ireland?
Hey Dan, how's it going? I am, as you can see, wearing green in total preparation for Paddy's Day on Monday.
I imagine that's quite a shindig in Dublin.
Oh yeah, hell will break loose on Monday. They have a big parade here in town and stuff like that. It's bank holiday, so I don't have to work. Yay. So yeah, it will be fun. In terms of this feature, I like it. I like it a lot. Funny thing, I haven't, I did not know that we launched that.
Why
it
would
caught
a
me by
tech support?
surprise,
Why
as
would a Google
Alan
support
said.
person need to know that?
I know, right? Who cares? I mean, yeah, it's kind of shame that I didn't know about that. Not sure if it was my fault or someone else's, but I haven't read about it anywhere unless I saw it on Google Plus. And as Ellen said, it kind of caught everyone by surprise. But as you said, I should know about it. People asked me about it, and I was like, I have no idea. I don't know the specs. I don't know what you have to do on your website. But I will follow up on that and try to figure out what's going on with that, in order to provide more information for you guys and for everyone else out there.
Also, Moritz asks if we've started daylight savings time. We did.
Oh yeah, I know.
And I actually started on time. I was like 8:30.
That was Gerwin that asked that, not Moritz.
I'm sorry, Gerwin.
That was Gervin, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we are switching times in 2 weeks, on the last weekend in March. So right now you're 1 hour closer, which is great, but in 3 weeks. But it doesn't really matter for me because I will be in the US by then, so my timing will be screwed anyway.
All right. So, Alan, are we ready for the sub on this?
Well,
Actually, one more thing before we go. I just now noticed somehow I was signed into a page by mistake, but I've noticed that it doesn't affect pages. So if you're signed in as a page, you don't get the new layouts for the thing right now. It looks like. I mean, I've been scrolling back for almost a month, and I'm not seeing any.
Have you created a new post with or have you done the test with the same link on a profile and a page?
I have. But the majority of these haven't updated. But then when I switch back to my actual profile, then I'm seeing them all over the place. So it's kind of interesting.
Do we know
So
if
this
this
should
is
not
this
this should
retroactive?
not happen. I mean, this should be consistent about across pages and profiles. Like Sarah Hill asked me the other day, why don't I have that? Why the next web has it but I don't? Why is that? I said I don't know. How is it rolling out? I said, well, it's most likely a server change, so it should be available for everyone. But on the then I see examples where it's not the case. I don't know.
Well,
Moritz,
one
I
thing
have
you
no
could
idea.
check, one thing you could test is to find a post that's like that, and then post it to yourself or to a dummy account.
That's what I just did.
And it
That's what I
didn't.
just did.
It didn't
show
format it
up under the
correctly.
page. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I did that and it worked for me. So I don't know.
So maybe it's like you said, different servers, whatever, just haven't rolled all the way out.
Do we know if this is retroactive? Often their changes affect previous posts all the way back, right? Do we know if that's the
I
case
saw
here?
it on older posts. I don't
Okay.
know if I was supposed to see it on older posts, but I saw it on older posts when I went looking for it.
Okay. All right. Any thoughts before we go to the subtopic here? I guess not. Okay, so the sub thing here, there was this post. I use Friends Plus Me, which is a thing that pushes my posts out to Twitter and to Facebook. And a lot of journalists use that if you're posting news stuff, so I don't have to post it 3 places. Some people hate that, some like it. But apparently the API's broken or not functioning correctly or something. Alan, can you translate that to English for us? Or explain what
Sure.
that's about?
As I've explained to our highly intelligent audience that actually listens to the show, except for Dan, multiple times, API is the application programming interface. It's basically the way that other programs can talk to Google+, get information from Google+. One of the things that the API allows for is when looking at a post to find out what attachments are on the post. And previously, things like links and images and so forth would show up as attachments. With this new format, they no longer show up as attachments. So for some reason, as as this got rolled out, that feature was omitted from the API. As far as my understanding is that the appropriate engineers have been notified, and they are looking into a fix.
Okay.
So it's a known bug that they are working on.
A rare
That
Google
translated
bug.
well enough for you, Dan?
Yes, excellent. Thank you. So hopefully they'll fix that, because we'll figure it out. Because that guy's really good. He's very responsive, helpful, and fast to respond. All right. Any thoughts on that? I guess not. Okay. So next is another change that I like is Google search results. The font, I've noticed this for a couple weeks. The font's a little bit different. They got rid of the underline. So what do you folks think of this? Okay.
I guess I'll start. Let me put it this way. If I hadn't been told, I wouldn't have noticed.
Really?
That's what I was
Really?
gonna say. Yep.
I honestly wouldn't have noticed. I honestly don't care. Now that I've been told, I've looked at it, and I think some of the fonts are a little bit too large. But honestly, so what? I know a lot of people who hate it and who insist they're going over to Bing now.
What?
I think they're
Because of a
full.
missing underline? Are you kidding me?
No, I think their bigger problem is the bigger font.
Yeah,
and
Come on,
And-
it's
and-
not that bad.
I don't think it's that bad at
Well,
all.
and again,
And the fact that the pink background is gone, replaced with the ad icon, which I blame Europe on. Or I blame
What
yeah.
is called pink background? What pink background?
The shade, the pink background shading when there was an advertisement to
Yeah.
signify that it was an advertisement is then
Oh,
replaced with a little ad icon.
really?
Yeah.
I also think that there is an awful lot of wasted space again.
And why do you blame
White
Europe for that?
space. I mean, little tiny over here, and then again all this space over here. It's like they could double up on the columns or something, give us more search results. Their search results went to like 5. So no wonder people are going to Bing.
5 what? What do you mean?
Like there's 5 results per page. You have to go to the next page, and then there's all this crap like above and below, and in depth, and oh, did you mean this? And I don't like it.
But Alan, why do you blame Europe for having the background removed? I don't get that.
Oh, because as part of the antitrust settlement that Google recently had with Europe, requires them to make advertising more prominent. And to make it more prominent, what is a native search result versus what is a paid-for search result.
Yeah, but then a background is highlighting the ad even better, so why removing that?
But it's not obvious unless you have been told that a background that the background means that it is a that is a paid-for search result as opposed to a natural search result. Whereas the little yellow icon that says ad makes it painfully obvious that
But
it's
they had this ad icon before, even with the background.
They had the ad icon is fairly new. It's only been there
Yeah.
for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but I mean,
this was added before we switched this whole layout thingy design change.
I mean, but I just went to Bing and I took a look at it. I mean, it's okay, 5 results versus 7. Bing still brings 7 results. I mean, that's, I don't know. I don't know why people would why that little minor change would make them jump to Bing. It's no different. It's almost the exact same thing. Bing is mirroring Google here, or the old Google.
I think it looks like Bing.
So, who says that you get only 5 results on Google? I get more.
Well, Pam was saying without hitting the next button, which is the same thing over here on Bing as well. I don't know. People are just finding reasons to cry. There's no reason to cry about it. It's just a little box. I don't get it.
Well, the one thing I noticed is when it got bigger, I thought that I hit my keys and made my fonts bigger, so I kept pressing Control-0 to get my fonts back
I
to the
just
right
did the
size,
same
and nothing's
thing.
happening.
Yeah, I just did the exact same thing. But I made my fonts bigger for the comment tracker because it's complicated, but the Chroma key wasn't working correctly with the new version of the software we use. So, okay. So I guess it's a mixed result. And then I saw this story from Slate, which I thought was kind of funny. It said Google tweaked how it displays search results. Here's how to change it back, so you can get an extension called something. Where is it? Stylish browser extension, and then you install the style that will add underlines back if you miss your underlines. I don't know.
It's getting silly. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's nothing like the pulling of hair and gnashing of teeth when they changed the YouTube comment system, right? But there's some mild grumblings. But anything you do, they're going to bitch, right?
I wish that when they made changes, I mean, it seems like there's always a new iteration, and it's almost like Machiavelli. You do it once and get it over with, and then everybody can get used to the new whatever. But it seems like every day, every week, we have something going on. Some other change. So something to gripe about. You shaking your heads about the reference about Machiavelli, or or the changes?
I like this, how it features my website when I type in this.
There you go. You own that Navajo term.
Yeah, if you type in Navajo people, it puts my website up on the right, and it looks cool.
Do you have any competition? I mean, other than Wikipedia, are you the main?
I mean, this is personal results. Click on the globe in the upper right
Yeah.
next to the settings button. Then you have the public view of the search results,
Oh, okay.
and then it looks different.
Or you can compare it to DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, someone said it was more DuckDuckGo-ish.
Yeah. Well, I'm still number one.
Yeah, that's good.
Is there a competitor for you? Just curious. I mean, is there some other guy doing this?
No, there's absolutely nobody but Wikipedia on Navajo culture, pictures, anything Navajo. I'm number one, except for Navajo jewelry. Navajo jewelry has lots of competition.
Okay. John Rochette says, that's why I'm late. You guys started on time. Yeah, it's been a while. And then Pam was late, and she's always fussing at me to start on time, and then she wasn't ready. And then Thomas Milne, I've been customizing many pages for some time. Susan Lewis, welcome. She'll tune in since she's home tonight. So, Moritz, are those chopsticks?
Yes.
Did you eat Chinese?
Occasionally, I do. Thai and Chinese.
Are
He
you?
wants to know why you're holding chopsticks.
That was kind of, yeah.
These are actually personalized, so I mean it's hard to read on camera though. But the shorter term says my name in Japanese, and if Japanese people are watching this, they can probably confirm that. And the other one says I like computers very much, something along those lines. And I got them from a friend of mine in Japan. She was studying there.
What if she's trolling you and it says something like "kill me"? I'm gonna.
I confirmed that with several other people that know, Japanese and Chinese, and it would be a big coincidence when everyone is, trying to troll me and telling me the same sort of troll.
This is we don't do enough chopsticks topics, Alan. We need to do that more often. All right, so next is
Dan, I really think it's just you see anything associated with food, you need to ask about it.
I'm hungry. Okay, so next up is something I think everyone will agree that is good. I don't know how you could troll this unless you were Amazon or Dropbox or whatever, but Google has dramatically reduced the price of drive storage. I'm on the 100 gigabyte plan. It was $4.99. Now it's $1.99, and they're going to automatically switch you, so you don't have to do it. When I looked, it said you're currently on the legacy $4.99 a month plan. Do you want to switch to the same exact thing for $1.99? I didn't switch because I was just going to see, but they said that they're going to, before they bill you again, that they'll change it automatically. And then I think 1 terabyte is $10 a month, and 10 terabytes
Yep, 1
is $100
terabyte,
a month.
$10 a month. Yeah.
So there's no, traditionally there was no discount. It was the exact same price per gigabyte all the way up. But now,
No, there wasn't. There
It's-
was always some bulk discount.
I don't think so. When I looked,
do.
it seemed. But,
Let's see. It used to be 100 meg for $5
right.
and a terabyte for $100.
$50.
$50? I thought it was more than that. Okay.
49.
So now that $50 is, a terabyte was 50, and now it's
10.
$10. So that's less.
That's per month.
Right.
That's per month.
And Alan didn't answer my question because I don't think he knew. But what happens if you can't pay or don't pay? Do you lose your data?
That's a damn
Oh,
good
I told
question.
you. I answered that question. What happens is the same thing as if you have, stuff that you put in a storage locker. At some point they auction your stuff off to the highest bidder.
Boy, Pam, they could get some coin.
No, seriously, what I did look it up. What the help function says is that eventually they will bit by bit lock you out of the account. So first they'll prevent you from uploading stuff to Drive and Photos. Then they start preventing you from sending email. But it never says that they will delete it, just that you'll start losing access to it.
Right, and Apple did this with their .Mac iCloud. I think it was after 2 weeks you couldn't send email, and then after a month it's to the point that you couldn't use anything. So
Flickr's
yeah.
like that.
Oh, I got conflicting stories.
Can you
on this.
download it though? Is what I'm asking. Is let's say you lose your job. I mean, paying for data storage might not be the top priority, right? I mean, can you get that data back?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You can always download it and remove the data you have on Drive in order to get down to this limit or the free limitation you have, free quota. But you cannot upload more stuff. This
Okay.
is then limited.
Well, Dan,
But you still have access to the data. You can download it, delete it, so you can get free space again. In order to for example, as Alan said, email access might be restricted and stuff like that. If you want to get back access to Gmail and stuff like that, you have to get under the quota, the threshold on Drive again.
And I'm glad they did this because I got the terabyte free for 3 years with the Pixel or whatever, 2 or 3 years or whatever, and I was concerned about when that ran out. I didn't want to pay $50 a month for that. So the fact that it went down to 10, I can deal with that a lot better.
It's
Yeah,
a
I
hell
can
of
deal
a
with that a
deal.
lot better too. I was worried there too.
Yeah.
I don't know what Dropbox and the other ones charge, but what I've read is that this is dramatically cheaper.
Right.
Very, very
Yes.
competitive.
To give you an illustration, and I haven't checked into this, but I heard someone report that Amazon has basically a backup service where you can upload stuff to what they call Frozen. Once you've uploaded, you can download it later, but it's not immediate download. You need to request it, and these prices beat that that backup storage level. So this isn't really designed to be backup, but you can certainly use it for that purpose.
Yeah, because
And-
we use it for our newspaper. We have folks in a nearby town and one guy in North Carolina, and then my sales reps locally, although one's sometimes in Baltimore. We use Drive for the ads for the InDesign projects, and they just download the last version, edit it, and then email the PDF to the sales rep and put it up there, and we can all access that. It's it's automatic. So if you update a folder on your C drive, you can it'll sync. It'll automatically upload it for everybody. So it's really
The
cool.
best use I found for Drive is if you have video and you put it up in there, the other people that end up wanting to access that video to watch it, it streams to them. So that's what I like. So I can put a 4-hour or 4 gigabyte movie up in the cloud or whatever, and then you could click on it and it will just start for you. You don't have to wait and download the 4 gigs before you can start whatever.
Now,
I didn't even know it had streaming. That's cool.
Yeah, I love that. That's the one thing I love.
it looks like a little YouTube player, like
Yeah.
a white label YouTube player. So here's a question. Those services, like Craig has, it's where you buy, it's a box, you can put hard drives in it, it's for storage, and you
Drobo.
Okay.
A Drobo or another network attached storage device. Yeah.
What's the cost of that? To get the
The
thing and put,
newest Drobo is, I want to say 750.
and
for
then
the-
two
for the-
1
for the
terabyte.
cheap model?
If you wanted to do this right, you'd have to get 2 drives. So you'd have a fail-safe thing, unless your house.
But that
burns
one will
down.
have 5. Yeah, that one will have you get 5.
Oh, Dan. Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just went up to my Chromebook where I got my 100 on mine, and it says here that all files will remain on Drive. You can access, download, and share them whenever you want after your expires. In other words, after the year with your Chromebook, you can still you still have access to all the files you've uploaded, but you can't add any more. So I guess
That's what I said.
But you said that they'll delete them after a period of time.
No, they don't.
I may have implied that, but I was clearly joking at the time.
Well, that's
Actually,
great.
I'm going to sell it.
That's great. Like if you're a college kid and you don't need your stuff over the summer break, you can stop, and then
So and here's this like video player on Drive that Kadeos was mentioning. You know, like any video file you have on Drive, you can play it straight in Drive.
And
You
it
don't need to
streams
download
out
it.
right away.
Yeah.
another advantage of that is if you're uploading copyrighted content, it doesn't go through the YouTube checks. Like if I was iffy on something one time, I uploaded it to my. I uploaded the video not to my YouTube channel, which I have to protect, but as a Google Plus video, and then it didn't. I forget what it was. And then a couple comments. Moro Solcia says another small change on Google Drive is that the size limit for a single file is now 1 terabyte. Thomas Milne, love Google Drive. I got the extra storage when they launched their Android Office program and gave all my accounts 25 gigabytes. I use one account for storage for my video surveillance via Google Drive Windows program. So my point about the what the hell is it? I'm sorry, Drobo?
Yeah, Drobo. Well,
It's-
Drobo is one version of it. Yes.
Okay, and that's a really good one, I think. So that you said it was $750. Does that include any drives? Then you got to buy the
No.
drives.
You gotta buy the drives.
So you're $1,000 to get a terabyte probably, because you'd need to get 2 drives. So if one crashes, you've got a backup, and then if you wanted the speed, you'd have to do the 4. But so
Yeah,
you're
that's
looking
fine.
at $1,000 for a terabyte, and it's local storage. Now, of course, it would be much faster than Drive, and you can't access Drive like you can a C drive or a D drive, and work on a file in Drive without. I mean, you can't. Like if you have an InDesign file stored on Drive, in order to edit it in InDesign, you have to download it to a local storage drive on your network or on your
But
computer.
remember, Drive does keep you're in sync. So with you being in sync with something on your desktop, you can make all those changes and it'll update in the cloud.
Right, but this makes cloud storage competitive with local storage in cost, because a terabyte would run you $120 a year. So by the time you get the $1,000 Drobo, I mean that's like 8 years of cloud storage. It's actually very competitive. It wasn't before, because instead of $120 a year, it would have been $600 a year. Then the Drobo makes sense for a terabyte, because it was $50 a month. Now it's 10. So all of a sudden, Google Cloud Storage is very competitive with local storage, which that's the game changer in my opinion. We haven't seen that before. And you get the benefit of if you go on, if Craig goes from Maryland to Sarasota, he can, he doesn't have to bring all his crap with him. Any other thoughts on this, guys, gals?
Well, my biggest problem is, like I said, if your internet goes down or if Google decides to delete this stuff, you don't have a backup. So this is what I'm saying. People should not, like you all of you mentioned this, you should not use this as your primary backup, because many times you can't get to this stuff if something were to happen, or Google, what if Google completely went down?
I mean,
Then you
for
don't
a
have-
few minutes.
Well, I'm just, I'm saying, I know they have all these backups and stuff, but it's just scary to have your primary backup as Google.
I find it much more scarier to have all the stuff local.
You
than
could have a
to- than
fire.
have it in the
Yeah,
cloud.
I was going to say, Harold, what would you recommend as your backup then?
Oh, what I do with mine is I basically make a backup and put it on a drive, and then I just have 2 copies, and I keep one here locally and then one away, and I do a complete backup every month and put it not in my house here. I keep it in a storage unit.
Now what if something happens in your transportation between the storage unit and the hard drive gets?
Well, I've always had my online backup. I've used the one Carbonite. I had Carbonite, but when I stopped Carbonite, I moved all my stuff to Google. So I have Google and my offline backup that's locked away in a fire safe. I keep all my backups. I have a fire safe in here, and I put it in there, and it's just right down. It's just right over here in the room. But if my house were to burn down, I would have everything.
Okay, so a couple more comments here. Richard Arkless, he says he has to keep it under 200 characters. Is that a YouTube thing? I thought you didn't have that limit anymore with the new
Yeah, it's a
comments.
YouTube thing still.
Okay, so he says Dropbox, $10 a month for 100 gigabytes versus $2 on Google. $99 a year. 200 gigabytes is $20 a month, or $200 a year. Half a terabyte, 500 gigabytes, $50 a month, $500 a year. So that half a terabyte is $50, whereas on Google it's the equivalent of $5. You can't buy
And
half; you have to
Richard,
buy a
if you
terabyte for $10 a
If
month.
you actually comment on Google Plus, you won't be subject to the 200 character limit. If you comment on one of the videos that we posted on Google Plus, one of the links that we posted.
Also, know that you can comment anywhere and we'll see it.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well,
about
one of the things I learned about Google Drive is you can use it exactly like Dropbox. If you share a folder with a group of people, they can drag and drop anything on their computer right in there. So you can make it work exactly like Dropbox.
I've had people
Exactly.
get confused.
Actually,
I've had
here's-
people who can use Dropbox and are too technically unsavvy to figure Drive out. And
I
had to
gotta
drive
tell
to
you
their
though,
freaking
Dan.
house to get them set up on that.
Dan, I've had
what-
people who were technically savvy and were unable to use Dropbox. It's not intuitively obvious.
Did they up the free storage?
15 gigabytes with Google.
Or did you mean on Dropbox?
Nope, Google.
This is
No,
cool.
the
I just
storage is
noticed
still 50 gig.
on the standalone comment tracker, there's a link here, and I'm able to click on it. Is that new, or has that always been like that?
It's always been like that.
Thomas Milne says there's a new era of cloud storage. It's free. This is WEIYUN. You sign up, download Tencent Cloud. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm totally giving Google $10 a month. Yeah, that's not happening. I don't know what that is. And also, is QQ going to be around longer than Google? If they're giving this
Hey,
stuff
don't make
away?
fun of QQ. QQ's okay. They're doing okay for China. Leave them alone.
Says the Japanese resident.
And Harold makes an interesting point. In a lot of ways, Drive is a lot like Dropbox, and superficially, I mean, we talked about this 2 years ago when it first rolled out. Superficially, they seem the same, but the differences in the power between them really is still somewhat remarkable. I haven't looked at Dropbox's API recently, but when I did look at it last, it was horrible. While Google's API makes it really easy for people to write applications that just work as part of Drive. So I can create web-based programs, web-based file readers and writers, just like Google Docs, just like Google Sheets. And they just work transparently with Drive. They just work.
Also, I don't know how I haven't used it in a long time, but with Drive, I mean, you can, if you have a PDF, you can click on it and look at it. We mentioned the videos will play in Drive. You can open a spreadsheet, and it opens it up like a Google spreadsheet. So you don't have to download the thing locally to use it. You can, send someone a link, and they can click on it and view it.
Even
But you can't-
even Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator files, for example, like Photoshop and Illustrator files, you are able to watch those files without having those programs installed.
But let me ask you
Can
guys,
you-
I mean,
Can you look at an Excel spreadsheet?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It'll
Sorry,
open it up.
Jody.
It'll open it up like an Excel, in a Drive, Google Docs spreadsheet.
In fact, Pam,
Yeah.
you've got two options. If you upload it as an Excel spreadsheet, you can view it. Or if you upload it and let it convert it, it will convert it to Google Sheets format, and you'll be able to edit it.
And
I
that's
believe,
that's
and I
free.
believe, if you want, you can then download it again as an Excel spreadsheet.
And
I'll
yes,
have to
it's
test
free.
that out.
It is.
I interrupted Jody. She was.
yeah, I guess I'm wondering, I mean, it certainly has a lot of advantages. I currently use Dropbox. I've been using Dropbox forever, practically, just because it's a great way of file sharing when somebody has to send me a big file. Dropbox has been really consistent in what they offer. It hasn't been a lot of change. It's pretty much been consistent. You put files up, you can share them, and that's what it is. This is relatively new. It's an evolution, and as we found, we find every week, we come in and Hangouts has changed, and the way pictures are showing have changed, and this has changed, and that has changed. So now you're taking your files and you're loading your precious information to something. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I'm wondering if anybody else has a little bit of concern over all of the changes and whether that will impact what happens with your information that you put up there.
I think if you're in the Google ecosystem, you're kind of used to this, and Drive is clearly the option to use. The others wouldn't be competitive. If you're not, then the others are more competitive at the free level. Because if you're under the limit where you have to pay, then both services are exactly the same. They're free. And if you're used to Dropbox, it's a very good service. They do a good job for what they do. And John Rochette says he has 100 gigabytes for free on Box. I don't use it much, but I've been with them from the beginning, way back when I started with 50 gigabytes free. You may have recommended it to somebody. And then I think if someone signs up from your recommendation, then they give you storage. Richard Arkless says to Harold, Drive does work offline when you have no internet or if Google is down, so it's safe, he's saying.
I think Jody makes an important point. And the moment she started speaking, I knew she was going to make the point, especially in light of her comments about search. It is always a concern. You want to make sure that you're trusting your files with somebody who is going to be there tomorrow. And your files aren't going to disappear, and they're not going to suddenly decide that, hey, this isn't really our core competency, reader. So we're going to, reader, discontinue it suddenly with only a few minutes notice and no obvious reader replacement.
Well, this is something that they use, right? Just like Hangouts and for Amazon Web Services, it was a product that they used internally, and they just decided, let's go ahead and sell it.
No.
The excess or Drive was created.
These are companies that they bought.
Oh, I have some breaking news. This if you just look at this website I put up there, this is the iDrive, which is the competitor, and it says here for today only 50% off. So they're responding to this. As of today, they've dropped their prices 50% because of Google, because of this announcement.
But that's only one day though, so that's still kind of useless.
Well, if you get it today, you can be kind of, I guess that you can see the
because
price.
you pay yearly for this. So if you buy it today, you get the whole year for $24.75.
You can lock
So
in
next
for
year it goes back to
multiple
normal
years.
price.
Yeah.
That's funny though that they dropped the price 50%. I can't imagine any other reason they would do this.
Okay.
Wait, if you go, who's got the biggest pockets, right? So Google has very, very big pockets. They can drop the price to something and this is a pretty ridiculous pricing, you have to admit, compared to the competition, to drive the competition out of the business. Then you can raise your prices because you have no competition.
But has Google ever done that though? They've never rose the price because something. Usually they go all the way to zero. They usually don't go the other direction.
I don't know, $1,500 for a pair of glasses.
Oh, well, here we go.
Well, how do you? Okay,
And what was the
That's not
price
a
of
good
those
example.
before?
do they benefit? Like they give Google Plus away for free, but they get your data, and they use it to sell you ads on the network. Other than the actual revenue they get from Drive, how do they benefit if you use Drive instead of Dropbox? Other than the actual revenue?
You're in their bailiwick, right? You're in their sphere of influence. So the more of their tools that you use, the more likely you are to use the other tools, and they want to keep you in their camp.
I can see
And
that.
also, I want to ask Craig, because I mentioned this before, just a quick, I think the Drobo, which is about $1,000 and up for, say, 2 1 terabyte drives and the actual unit, if you can get a terabyte on Drive for now, what is it, $10 a month? So $120 a year versus $1,000 Drobo for the same storage, and it's cloud-based. It works in Sarasota, it works in Maryland without dragging your Drobo. I think this is very competitive for the first time with physical local storage as a backup.
I think you still need you need local. This is in addition to. I don't recommend that anybody use the cloud as their sole backup. There's just too many potential issues with that. So I would still have a local backup, but certainly as a cloud backup, why not use it? But I've had a lot of things upload slow to Drive. I haven't been that impressed with how well Drive performs, especially for large files. So the jury's still out.
What's the largest file you tried to upload to Google Drive?
Like 3 or 4 gigabytes.
And what was your problem with
It just took a long time.
How long ago was that?
Oh, it's been quite a while. I haven't even tried it lately. So I don't know. Dan, do you
I
upload
did one last week, so that's why I was wondering. It was 4.5 gigs.
Yeah, and I'm getting ready to do more. What it's good for is, let's say you do a video project and you're done with it, and you don't want to delete it. You've uploaded the final render to YouTube, and you want to keep it in case you ever need to go back, like a client video. But I don't need that on my local drive, hogging up space. So I could upload that to Drive, and it's there if I need it. I can download the whole directory and have the whole project again. But I think that's a good use for it. And mine's pretty quick. I mean, I've got...
You've tried that?
Yeah, I've got 50 and 10. It's very fast.
I mean, like, what size file did you upload? Give us an example of
I don't remember the time. I mean, it's been a while. I haven't done it recently.
Yeah.
But the max
so next
file
time
size
you do
now now it's a max 1 terabyte file size, which is...
Okay, so when you do a project, next time you have a project like you were just talking about, and you upload the whole thing, make note of the file size that it is and how well it performs. I'll be interested to know.
Sure.
Actually, Craig, I'll do it right now, and then I'll let you know how long it took.
Are you going to mess up your uplink to the...
With his video streaming going on, this will be good.
It don't matter. We're already at war about my data
Can
cap
you do
anyway.
Andrew's comment, Alan? Because I'm not sure if those are
Yeah,
acronyms or what he's trying to say there.
I was about to answer. I was about to do that. Andrew has a couple of good ones. He points out that Dropbox uploads diffs, but Drive, as far as he knows, uploads the full file, even if only one character was changed. That addresses some of the speed issues. One of the other issues, though, with that is Drive also supports multi-target synchronization. So trying to deal with how 2 different people update a file at the same time is not always easy, and Drive tries to deal with it correctly. His other point is much better, though. Dropbox has LAN sync and Linux support. People have been screaming for Linux support for Drive for 2 years now, and they have been disturbingly silent on the issue. And they are still disturbingly silent on the issue. I have no idea why they are not supporting syncing with Linux. One of the things I do know, though, and I've seen several people who work with Drive and Linux say, is, to be honest, they would much rather an explicit file transfer than watching things sync up automatically. And personally, I agree with that. I don't have sync for anything on mine. If I want something on Drive, I put it on Drive. If I want something from Drive local, I bring it local. I've got scripts that'll do that for me. I don't trust sync, but I'll admit, that's me. We have this comment from Richard. I doubt Google Drive will go away anytime soon. They're getting income from it, and with this price decrease, they'll see a lot more paying customers. It was different with Reader because it had no ads, collecting the data from it was pointless, etc. I believe that. No, I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I mean, and here's the problem: is right now Google just is. They've got a trust issue, and until they, can get over that trust issue, until they make people believe that they're not just going to suddenly discontinue a product, even one that they're getting money for, and they've killed products they charge money for. They're not going to believe that someday they're not going to decide it's not a core competency and spin it off. That said, I'm certainly putting my stuff in Drive instead of Dropbox. I like it more. I like the UI more, but I know that's me. And I certainly like the functionality more. I'm betting a lot on Drive, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, for the uploads, I want to give you an example of how this works really wonderful. I did a Navajo government lesson, and he was doing a lecture there. I had my little phone here, and I let this run for the whole hour of the lecture, and then when I came back the next day, it was automatically backed up to Google Drive. I didn't have to upload it. It's really cool. You don't have to do anything.
That was to Drive? How did you do that?
All you do is you just save your video on your phone, and you have auto backup turned on. And
Then
I come
back
back
to
and
Google
it's there.
Plus, not to Drive.
That goes to Photos, though, not Drive.
It went somewhere. It's on my photos, yeah, but it's backed up somewhere there. Is it? It's not on Drive. Where is it?
It's on Photos,
Google Plus Photos.
which uses the same quota as Drive, but it's not on Drive. That's actually one of the complaints that I have, is that...
It's same but different.
Yeah, why are they different? Why are they different?
Well, Dan, that's really, really, really easy to explain. It's because Google was doing it instead of Google doing it.
Ah, okay.
See, if Google had done it, then it would have gone to Drive. But instead, Google was doing it, so it went to Photos.
I thought Google was doing it. Okay, so that makes
No.
sense.
You see, Google's not doing it. Google is doing it.
Right.
And that's where you got confused.
Okay. So
In all seriousness, it's the fact that it's two completely different teams. It's actually somewhat miraculous that they're sharing disk space.
But it's still coming out of my 100 gigabytes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
At first, the post said now there's more storage for your photos, and they didn't market it well on Google Plus with your initial post. It implied
What,
that
Google
it wasn't,
out marketing something well?
well,
Are
it
you
was
serious?
the post was a little misleading to me because then I had to go and I checked and I was like, oh man, I hope this is general Drive pricing and not just for photos. And then that's the case. But they highlighted in the Google Plus post that everyone shared ad nauseum, it said more space for your photos. It wasn't clear that it was anywhere in that post. I don't think that it was for Drive in general. But this is game-changing pricing. This is ridiculously low price compared to the competition and compared to Google's previous price. So I think that the competitors, again, this only impacts you if you're above the free level. Most of these services, if not all, have some kind of free tier, and then it's only a price issue. So there's no reason to switch from Dropbox to Drive. If you're happy with Dropbox, you're not really in the Google ecosystem. You don't miss any of that, and you're in the free tier. And they're both equal in price. It's only when you start paying that it matters.
We had this comment from Richard. Never understood the point of Linux support. I use web apps which are connected to Drive or as Drive integration. I do understand it, and to give an example, I have somebody who just started using Voodoo, and what Voodoo does is it lets you send files from Glass to Drive. That's really the big thing that it does. And I had a client, somebody who just started using it, indicated that the way he's using it is to then sync files locally that he takes on Glass. So he can now essentially share it directly from Glass to his local machine. He can do that because he uses a PC. he couldn't do that automatically if he was using Linux. And that's, I understand it. It's not how I use it. It's not my workflow. But I understand why people are frustrated that support's not there. That said, as I understand it, within like a month, somebody did come out with a Linux-based file system that syncs to Drive. So, this is why we have open source, and why we have an open API, and why we have all of these open things which are good, is so that the community can step in and fill in the gaps. Let me come up with this one quickly. Once again, someone tells me that I'm right. Really, I don't need my head inflated all that much more. No matter what Google does, it's going to take a lot to shake the uncertainty they caused in any Google project because of what they did with Reader.
I don't agree with that.
Just Reader. It's
Yeah.
not just Reader.
What else is it then, Craig?
We get this heads up that on Google Voice, my little box that I've been using that I love, that I have plugged into my router, that I can plug my phone into, that works great, and they say that May 15 that's going to stop working.
Yeah, it was never supposed to be working in the first place.
Yeah, that's right. And then they say it was a hack and it wasn't supposed to work in the first place, but it doesn't make any difference. It was being sold and under the.
It wasn't being sold by Google.
Yeah, but the people that were selling it were saying that it works for Google Voice and so forth. And if they were going to stop
with
this,
the people who lied to you,
they should have stopped it a long time ago, right? And here's the deal: John Q. Public doesn't care why his box stopped working. He doesn't care that it was a hack. He doesn't care that it was a workaround. He doesn't care that it didn't have the blessing of Google in the first place. He just cares that he paid $39 for this thing that was supposed to allow him to use his Google Voice phone, plugging in a house phone and the convenience of it and all that. And then he's going to care on the 15th of May, if in fact it stops working, he's going to blame Google. That's it. That's the deal. That's the way people are. That's the reality of it. So this is one more example where you give somebody something and then you take it away. At least that's the way.
But in this case, in your scenario, it wasn't given to begin with, though.
But that's the way they're going to look at it.
Well,
Trust
they'll be
me.
wrong, though. I mean, it was a hack.
Well, it doesn't make any
But so what
difference
if they're
if they're
wrong?
I mean,
So
I
what
think
if they're
that,
wrong?
look,
Google still comes out with a black eye.
That's right. It's bad PR.
but it's the fault of the companies who hacked in and sold products saying
Dan,
accurately that they
that's
would
not
work.
so what? Google still gets the blame for it. But do you really think that Google has all that glowing an image these days, Dan?
I don't know. I mean, I think
Yeah, everyone thinks that it's better than Bing still, but Google has been taking some PR hits recently.
okay. I think the reader impact is overblown. I think it got more attention than it would have because all the journalists used it, all the tech writers used it. So naturally, they were pissed off and wrote about it. I don't think most people used Reader. And there are alternatives. And change sucks. There's fear of change. It's a hassle. But, I don't think... I think the impact of the Reader issue was minimal. And I think the impact of this...
I don't think it's minimal. And the reason here there are two reasons why I don't think it's minimal. The first is Google has always appealed to the tech crowd first. And people have followed along because the techies went with it first.
Google Plus was pretty mainstream from the beginning. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, Dan, you need to work on your comedy routine, really. So Google's always led from the techies, and second, it's basically Google saying that it's undermining the trust that people have with Google. If they kill Reader today, what are they going to kill that I use tomorrow? And, it's easy to say, well, Reader was in decline, nobody was using it. Well, nobody, it was in decline because there was nobody working on it. So, okay, so today they kill Reader. Tomorrow, are they going to kill the message groups that they run? Are they going to kill the code repositories that they run? What are they going to kill tomorrow? And that's what people are asking.
Probably kill Android because it's a big flop anyway, so... cut their losses. You know.
All right,
Oh
we
my
have a couple
God.
comments. This one is right up Craig's alley. Did you do the Andrew one there at the bottom? Now, Alan, Google does advertise the Chromecast appearing in the UK, for instance, have a lovely NDA attached, specifically forbidding mentioning their existence. So now everyone is talking about it. Kevin Bryan, Reader is not an indicator of anything. Reader was clearly seriously declining in usage, and was basically abandoned for years. Kevin Bryan, Craig is right. Google wanted to be open on Google Voice, but they got taken advantage of by people who set up businesses based on unsupported hacks. Why do you have any other guests, Dan? All you need is Craig. He's always right. Andrew, if Reader didn't have an impact, let's make an RSS obsolete now then.
You've abandoned me, Kevin.
For Dan, opens can of laughter. Ha 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 ha. Closes can. Touche. Anyway, what's next? Any more on this?
The file. Could I ask how far along is the?
I was keeping you updated. We're at 27% right now. It's 4.04 gigabytes.
27%. That's
me
not
doing
bad.
this show. I'm uploading this file on this system while I'm doing this show over the same internet connection.
Cool. It'll be interesting to see if you might want to make a note of the time on the
Yeah.
25% to see if it goes from 25 to 50 at the same rate. See if it starts slowing down later. You know. 'Cause
Yeah, I'm using if you use the chat will have the timestamps, and so I'm just updating.
What's it
Because
about? About 10 minutes?
my Comcast throttles the heck out of me after a while, and it starts slowing down.
Cadeas,
Alan?
is it? It's about 10 minutes since you started.
I started it at where is the original? 6:29. So yeah, it's about 10 minutes now, and I'm
So about
already
7 minutes a gigabyte.
Yep, and I'm at 30% now.
Alan, what
So
you got?
what's your speed? What's your upload speed?
What do I have? 100 down, 50 up.
Obviously, you don't really have 50 up if it's 7 minutes a gigabyte.
Well, I'm doing the show too, and I'm doing other stuff that's happening as well. So this is all happening all the time.
We also know that those speed tests are like not exactly accurate.
Charlie's probably watching something naughty in the other room.
Yeah, he's over there watching freaking Naruto and junk. So
Alan, what you got?
We have this point from John, which we glossed over pretty quickly earlier. I've got about 40 gigs of photos and videos with a 15-minute time limit in the Photos tab, and it's not counted towards the quota usage. So far as I can tell, you could have endless free storage. And yes, if your photos are... Let's try that again and hit the right button this time. If your photos are under 2048 by 2048, they won't count. And if your videos are under 15 minutes and uploaded to Google+, they won't count. Oh, and your videos uploaded to YouTube also don't count. So yes, you could have unlimited free storage, essentially.
Even for Drive, there's
you-
no limit on how many accounts you can create, right? And in the space of less than 5 minutes, you can create a new Google account. I have a couple of them. I have one for different reasons. I have one that a legacy
but why would
one.
you want your Drive account spread out like that?
I mean, if you were cheap, like Craig,
Well, but
paycheck to paycheck.
Well, Craig had to be cheap.
Cadeas, here's the thing. You can create a Drive account and then permit your other accounts to the same folder.
Oh, that is
The
true.
question is, so, if you actually wanted to try to manage who owns what and make sure you deal with that correctly, you can.
Just share
But
it
that's
with each
still
other.
trying to manage who actually owns the file.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But it's just I don't know. It's a lot of
It's
work.
a pain, and
$10.
but
You could have Cadeas 1, Cadeas 2, Cadeas 3. I assume there's not a run on Cadeas Gmail addresses. You just share them with each other as editors, and then shared with me, you'd have Cadeas 1, Cadeas 2, and it'd just be 4 folders, right? And you could
well,
game
you don't
the
even need
system.
4 folders. You just put them all in the same folder.
You could get Google back for Reader. Thomas Milne asked.
Everybody got quiet.
Thomas Milne asked, "Don't emails use Drive storage space? They do, right? Like if I email a 20 meg attachment to Cadeas,
20 meg is pretty small though.
or if Pam emailed me some photos, for example, which are probably more exciting than anything I would email to Cadeas, that would count towards your Drive storage.
Yes, attachments are stored in Drive.
This actually
And
was a
that's
more
actually
interesting
to your
topic than I anticipated. Alan, I'm sorry.
That's actually to your advantage in some cases, because if you've got a docs file, actually this is the other thing, is that docs files and sheets and presentations don't take up any space at all.
Right.
So if you upload a Word doc and it gets and you let it get converted to a Google Doc format, it now takes up no space.
Okay, well,
Right.
what if you put a large picture in your Google Slides presentations, and they're larger than the amount allowed? That way you can get free storage. You see what I'm saying? You know,
I
you
see
only
what you're
can have.
saying, and I don't know the answer to that. Try it and find out, because it'll tell you how much space each file will take up. You can find that out.
Actually, Harold, I would say please try it and tell us.
Okay. Yeah, because what I do is I have a lot of full-size pictures that would cost me money if I stored them, but if I put them in a Google Slide presentation, I could store them for free there. I could have 15 slides there with all my high-resolution pictures for free.
I think the answer, though,
But they
is
don't
I'm
display
not sure
well.
if it actually stores them as high resolution in the same quality as the original. I don't know if it'll do that.
Kevin Bryan asks, does anyone on the panel know someone who's upgraded the drive storage with the new pricing?
I went ahead and did it today. I got it queued up.
Well, yeah, Kevin, what is your question for Cadeas, who's done it? I'm not sure what you're asking. And then Andrew Jones McGuire, he says, until Moritz goes back to Google and says, hey, look at this loophole they found. Oh, yeah, about multiple accounts. I think they know that.
Right.
And then Thomas Milne docs and whatnot do not take up space when created in Drive. Oh, okay, so they're not, okay, he's saying docs and whatnot do not take up space when created in Drive. And he's suggesting that if you upload docs to a folder, that would take up space, which is a good distinction.
I'm
to
not
know.
sure that's
Unless
true.
you convert them. If you
Right,
convert
and
them to the Google format, then
If they're in the
They-
Google format, they don't count against your quota.
Oh, okay.
right.
Okay. Still, this is, like I said, I think it's a game-changing price. They're going to put the hurt. Amazon does not have a consumer-level product like this, correct? I mean,
No, but Dropbox and Box and everybody else are based on Amazon. It's not like they're, so essentially they do, but they just have somebody else fronting it for them.
yeah, because it's funny when Amazon goes down, a whole bunch of services go down, like Netflix and so on.
Bottom line is, I
Right.
think we should find out who Google buys their hard drives from and buy stock in that company.
That's a good
They're going to
point.
be storing a whole bunch more stuff.
Well,
And
you
they're-
got to remember, Craig. Part of the reason why, part of how their data centers came to be, is they were essentially buying commodity hard drives and sticking them into commodity PCs, and they were just managing the hell out of these systems.
I just still can't figure out how they can do it, how they can afford it. Because sure, they've gotten cheaper, the hard drives, but they still cost money. Every one you buy still costs money. And
So do ads.
I can't. Yeah, but I mean, I guess the truth is that most people don't store a ton of stuff. I mean, most people are fairly conservative on how much stuff they store. They're not like us where they take advantage of it.
Well, how
That's the
much
only-
is a hard drive?
Pam was quoting a consumer level 1 terabyte hard drive for $75.
Here's one for 65 at Toshiba.
Yeah,
Obviously,
so
they
let's
would buy
say
a
they pay
larger one.
35. That's still $35 for a freaking hard drive. I mean, and once it's full, they got to buy another one, right? They
And
can't.
then they're buying them in bulk too.
I would never use a terabyte. All right, I have one still brand new in the box. I could put every single piece of data that I have on 3 laptops and a desktop, and I still wouldn't get to a terabyte.
Is most people don't use a lot of storage, so that's probably how they can do all this stuff.
Okay, so I see a Seagate 4. It's 4 terabytes for $170. So if you bought those, and that looks like the cheapest. A Western Digital will be $250. So let's call them $200. And if you want a terabyte, you're paying $120 a year, right? You're paying. Is that right? 1 terabyte's $10 a month now. So they would get for 4 terabytes. Really, let's call it $400 because you got to have at least 2 drives, right? You got to have a backup of some sort. So they're paying $400, and they're making $120 for 10 for 1 a year. So they're making $480 in the first in a year per terabyte, or for 4 terabytes. So I think they might break even or make a little bit, but most companies only make a 5% profit.
Stuff that they're storing for free also, all the YouTube videos and all of that stuff, they're storing for free.
And yeah, but also imagine if you buy an 18-wheeler full of hard drives, you might get a better deal than what
Oh, I'm
Amazon's
sure they
offering.
do. I'm sure they do, but still, they can only get cut down so much, right? I'd love to see the numbers on how many hard drives they buy and
I'm sure a lot of competitors would like to know that as well.
how all that works out. But hey, God bless them if they can keep doing it.
They've shown pictures of their data centers, and I believe that includes at least some pictures of their drive storage racks.
Okay, so here's a good comment from Thomas Milne. You have 15, I guess this is copied from the support doc, right? You have 15 gigabytes of free storage to share between Google Drive, Gmail, Google Plus Photos. Your storage use is based on which of the following items you've stored in these 3 products. Gmail, all the messages and attachments in your mail, including those in spam and trash. Drive, files you've stored in Drive like PDFs, images, and videos. Anything you've made with docs, sheets, and slides won't count towards your storage limit. So this may contradict if you said you convert it to Drive, right? It wouldn't count. Okay, so when you upload, if it says convert these to Google Drive format,
Yes.
then it becomes just like you created and it doesn't count. And the Google Plus Photos, only photos over 2048 by 2048 pixels and videos longer than 15 minutes would count. Jack Manuel says, blah, 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 and why is your video so long? That's what we do. Longest show on Google Plus. Captain Euro, why does the ghost of Jobs not flog you with unicorn horns for using Android? And then Andrew notes that
Dan, if you read these in the other order, they would make more sense.
Rare
Like the
criticism
order
from
that they were
Alan.
posted.
I'll give you a full refund. Any viewers who complain. All right. Anything else on Drive?
Actually, yes, there is more on Drive, because that's the next topic.
Oh, okay. We have a list?
We have a list. Shockingly enough, we actually do have a list of the topics we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I'm not aware of this. I didn't see this. Google Drive adds add-ons, and I saw this in Drive. Like if I go to Google Drive, and then it says somewhere, where is it? It's at the top, right?
Yeah, it's a new menu item at the top that says add-ons. The little red new text next to it.
Okay, so
Very
here's
clever.
the doc we use for the show. And then if I click on add-ons, it says do more with docs. So tell us what this is about, Alan.
Sure. So this is a new feature that's rolling out today, or that was rolling out this week, with for docs and for the new sheets, not for the old one, only for sheets that are in the new format, that basically allow folks outside Google to create these add-ons. So there are some sample apps there. For example, there's one from MailChimp that lets you use, I believe it's either use a Google Doc or a Google Sheet to manage who you're going to be emailing stuff to. There's one from Avery, for example, that lets you create labels, set up a label format, and then print it out from Google Docs. So these are, they're almost like programs that are meant to work with docs and sheets.
What's the
We've
difference
had-
between an app, an extension, and an add-on? Is there? Just the vernacular?
Not much of one. In this particular parlance in this particular environment, an add-on refers to a couple of very specific things that are new. So, for example, in the past, app scripts were available, and you could publish them and make it available to others, but they could always look at those scripts. With an add-on, the people who are using the add-on will never be able to read your script. In the past, you had to go to a script library or be told about where to get a script. Now it's available as part of the Chrome store. So there's a lot of... It almost brings a lot of polish to AppScript at this point. It makes it so that you can actually use it without having to have some programmer walk you through how you're going to add it on. These are some really powerful features now that are almost consumer level.
So it really opens up the door for being able to charge to create a product you could sell.
Eventually, yes. I mean, these are not commercial products yet. They're all for free right now, but certainly they're positioned so that developers will be able to charge for them in the future. Yes.
Richard asks, has anyone taken a look at the new add-ons API? Could you add features Drive is missing, like cell merging in tables, columns, etc.?
Yes. I have looked at the API. It basically boils down to anything that you used to be able to do in AppScript, you can now do using an add-on. Can you add features Drive is missing? I assume by that you mean that Docs is missing, and part of it is that Docs doesn't have, or Docs and Sheets don't really have a great API right now. But the AppScript API for Sheets and Docs is really pretty good. A little slow sometimes, but pretty good. You've got further questions on that, Richard, feel free to ping me or ask in the comments. So yes, I think there's a lot to this new feature that's really going to impress some people. I've got plans. I know what I want to do with it soon as I find some time. But there's a lot of great stuff that we're going to be able to do with this with this feature. And I think it really brings the sort of thing to mainstream. So, we're seeing schools using these now. I can easily see add-ons that are intended for teachers to help them maintain their grade reports, for example. I can easily see one. There's one of the ones that's a sample there is one of the early add-ons is letting you create a doc and then visually seeing people as they sign off on it in your chain of in your chain of command in your office place. So there's a lot of really neat features that can go with this. I'm really looking forward to seeing what else comes out. Richard asked another question. If you share a document with someone, will that add-on be loaded automatically when they open it, or will they have to install the add-on themselves? And I don't remember the answer. Ping me later for that one. I believe that the way add-ons can work is you can attach an add-on to a sheet, so it will prompt them to run it. There are still permissions associated with running an add-on, so it may prompt them automatically, but I'm not positive about that. Anybody else have any thoughts on this feature? Hearing a vast wall of silence?
I haven't used any of them, so I don't. I can't give you a review. Maybe Monday.
Your video's amazing, Pam. Just
Well, that's
FYI.
because she's in it, of course.
I tried to.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, it's
Me?
really,
No.
really good. It's crystal clear. You got the little HD thing.
Cool.
Go Pam.
I tried to use the envelope add-on and it would not work. It just kept crashing.
Did you use? This is the one that's on Docs.
Yeah, there was an
This
add-on
one
for envelopes and it never worked. It just plain didn't work. Google Docs.
Did you send feedback to the authors?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know there have been some issues. What? Just out of curiosity, was this on your system that you have set to Navajo?
No, it was basically just a regular on my regular account.
Okay. Because I know there have been some problems reported with non-U.S. locales.
It seemed to like it was going to work, but it basically froze when I typed in the address there. It didn't go anywhere. There was no button to click or anything. It was just kind of some bug in it.
Okay. There we are. Exciting add-ons for your Drive. Okay, so this is another one I don't know anything about. Google Wallet tap to pay for KitKat and Up.
You want to fill this one first, Cadeas?
Well, it sounds like Google Wallet is getting rid of the support for old phones, I guess. Basically, I guess there's a little battle between carriers blocking certain things being done on the phone and such, and so they're moving to a platform that is not blockable, DHCE. So yeah, so I think this is a good thing. What do you think, Alan?
I would think this would be a better thing if it wasn't for the fact they were just telling all of their old phones to themselves. But this goes back to the trust issue.
No, I think this
in
is
some ways.
I mean, it fixed because for a while Google Wallet was usable, but then there were carrier things in the way that would stop it from being used on certain devices and stuff. So by them moving solely to this platform allows everybody to be able to use it.
Everybody who is able to upgrade their phones.
Right.
Which, it's far from everybody.
Right, but how do we stop fragmentation? Right. I mean, we gotta find a standard and move forward. So we found our standard, KitKat. Now we're gonna move forward.
Well, and that's great if they would let us move forward.
Okay, I was gonna say they have a whole this at Mountain View, right? They've got this whole little park filled with versions of Android, right? They've got the jelly bean, they've got the cupcakes and the donuts and the all that crap, right?
The Android park, yeah.
So you're saying that we have the new standard KitKat. Well, that's the new standard now, but I bet you they're working on the new candy bar next, right?
Well, yeah.
Snickers.
Okay, so it's never going to be the new standard. They're always going to basically obsolete anything that's 3 or 4 years old, because that's how technology is.
2 years old. 2
exactly
years
my
old.
point.
And that's almost the exact lifespan of any cell phone.
Well, no, that's the lifespan of a contract, not a cell phone.
Contract as well.
Well, Cadeas, Pam's got this right. The cell phone is useful long beyond 2 years.
Well, yeah.
This is crazy that they're making us replace them every 2 years.
Come out and companies stop supporting them. Is the thing. It's been like this for years. It's finally. I'm glad Google's finally catching on. It's been like this for years.
What?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's ridiculous. 2 years is too short to obsolete. It's
nobody
not hardware is not capable of running the software.
Nobody makes you replace your phone every 2 years or your computer every 2 years. I mean, look at but using a computer that's probably 10 years old.
Nobody makes you replace your computer, but your phones are a different matter.
No,
I have a cell phone right now, and it is functionally unusable. It works. Well, of course, they never work as telephones, so I've given up on that.
Is it an iPhone?
No.
Oh, then of course it's going to be unusable.
I can't talk to you about
let's say
this.
if you had an
You're
iPhone
biased.
4, for example, that would be like 4 years old now. They still work fine.
For very strange definitions of fine, but okay.
they still function fine. So
Why is there forced
still work the way they
obsolescence?
if you buy a decent phone to start with, it's going to last a lot longer than 2 years.
But why is it a forced obsolescence? I mean, what phone do you have, Michael?
I have an Evo 4G.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh wow, are you serious?
No,
No,
I
seriously,
actually like this phone.
seriously, Michael, what phone do you have?
He said an Evo
Yeah,
4G.
it's an Evo
He has
4G.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
his battery lasts
Okay.
maybe 3 hours, and he's done for the day.
Forget
Now-
that. Forget that. Okay, let's talk the Galaxy Nexus again, folks.
Let's talk about
They,
it.
absolutely- they killed it a year and a half after it was last on sale. So we're not even talking 2 years.
What, about 18 months, right?
And it's their phone.
Oh, so we're now down to 18 months.
Okay, so that's perfect. That's perfect. That's
Not
about
perfect.
That's the that is about the lifespan of a cell phone. After your warranty only lasts a year. I mean, after a year, stuff starts going wrong anyway. You might as well get out of that phone and get into something.
You know what? Wait a minute. My washing machine. That's right. My washing machine has a 1 year warranty, and guess what? It's going on its 9th year.
I
Right,
think
but
we
how
need
many
some
times-
Maytag to start making.
Yeah,
How many times
yeah,
do you update the
Cadeas.
software on your washing machine, Pam?
What?
How many times do you update the software on your washing machine?
Answer.
What does that have anything to do with it? I want my phone to work.
By the
same
way,
way when I first bought it.
And guess what? Your phone does. Your phone will continue to work the same way as when you first
No,
bought
it won't,
No,
Cadeas. That's the whole thing we're
Wait a
talking
minute.
about.
Wait a minute. Wait.
I cannot use Google Wallet anymore.
Google Wallet.
which Google Wallet?
Oh,
Wallet has
except
Two.
anything that they've updated the software for since you bought the phone. It'll
Right.
work perfectly fine as long as you never update the software.
just like your washing machine.
Look, here's the deal. By the way, since Pam brought up washing machines, a Sears
Oh, boy.
repairman told me that you always get the kind with the dial. Don't get the fancy digital one because the digital crap is the thing that always dies. If you get the manual dial thing, you're fine. Just
That's
you know.
exactly right.
So
That's our
Halloween
nightly
hints
washing
for
machine
the night.
tip.
Yeah.
And next time on our Kenmore week,
If you want to use the new software, if you want to use all the new features and all that stuff, then you need to move cell phones. If you want to keep your same phone, keep using your HTC Evo 4G, you don't expect to be able to do the new software.
Also,
I am absolutely shocked. I'm absolutely shocked to hear that Android phones are junk after 18 months. Absolutely
Your
shocked.
iPhone's junk after 18 months, Craig. So what are you talking about?
No, come on. I used my last
Have you
iPhone.
tried installing iOS 7?
I used my last iPhone, my iPhone 4S. I used it for 3 years, and it was working great when I sold it for more than I paid for it.
Did you update the operating system? Well, wait a minute. I forget. You turn everything off, and you don't actually try to use any of the new features. So it's useless what you're talking about.
Yeah, I updated it when they came out with the new.
Yeah, but then you turned all the new stuff off. Remember, we talked about this last
Well,
week.
no, I did that on my
Last-
5S. I got rid of a lot of the stuff that drains the battery, and the phone works fine. It does everything I need to do. I
Right,
didn't.
but again, you turned off everything. So you
Not
might
everything. I mean, everything I need. Everything I need on it works. I can get into my Facebook. I can get into my Twitter. I can send and receive emails. I can go to web pages. I can take photos. I can
Exactly.
do everything I need to do with the phone.
Right, you're not doing anything new.
couple comments,
Go by
Alan
the
first.
side.
While Cadeas gets redneck on Craig, let's do a couple
I've got the
comments.
new
What you got,
HDR
Alan?
on my camera. That's the new update.
Richard makes an excellent point here. Android news on a Google Plus show. What blasphemy is this? He's right. This is my fault. I probably should have left this for our Monday night show, our Android week. That's my fault that I included it here tonight at all. Pam, what do you got?
Thomas says $500 every 18 months is silly. And
I
so
agree.
if-
Thomas is right.
So- But the thing
When
is
that
that
show?
so basically Google and the phone companies are in collusion.
Good show,
This is
Alan.
old news,
Yeah.
fam.
You know, I want if I want a phone that's not like tied to a contract or whatever, and I'm going to pay full price for it, I definitely
all,
want it to last longer than
First of all,
18
Pam,
months.
First of all, Pam, back in the day, I was paying $3,500 for a cell phone. Now, it did
Yeah,
last
well.
4 or 5 years. I kept it, for 4 or 5 years.
We could take your inventory anytime, Craig. I
So
mean, I
all
could
I'm
go through
saying
all the
is-
weird shit that you do.
All I'm saying is, relatively speaking, these phones are cheap nowadays. So,
That's true.
at $800 for a phone, I mean that's cheap compared to the old days.
That's
so.
true, because when I first met my husband, he had this it was like a handset attached to this big huge battery pack
Those were cheaper.
that he had to carry on his shoulder.
Those were about $2,000. So the reason they bought those is because those were cheaper. Because what they did with those was they just took the car phone, the one that would normally be in the car, and they just put a big battery on it. So if you bought the handheld one like Michael Douglas had in Wall Street, that was about $3,500. So you had to step up and pay more to get the somewhat smaller one, right?
Okay, Cadeus.
So they're cheap today. That's all I'm saying.
Cadeus, let me
Yes.
make sure I understand your argument. You're saying that this phone, if I never upgrade the operating system, should do everything that it always did, correct?
Software period.
Okay, so if I never upgrade the software,
Right.
it should always do what it always did, right?
Right.
And yet it doesn't.
What do you mean?
That's the entire point of that. That was the story. Basically, they are Google Wallet. They are forcing us to get an upgrade for Google Wallet that will remove a feature from this phone.
Oh, because you can't use Google Wallet because it's in the cloud. Okay, I got you.
So Tap to Pay will stop working for me. And it will stop working for me because Google will not let me upgrade this phone.
And you understand why that is, right?
Right, because they're pack of incompetence.
No, because they're having an issue with the carriers. The carriers have wanted you to use this ISIS. This is exactly what the article says, is that they're doing this so that way they can't be locked out by the carriers. Because carriers want
Well, I understand why they're doing that. I
Right.
understand why they're doing that, but my carrier didn't lock them out. So basically, they're taking a feature
'cause you got
away
T-Mobile.
from me.
Yeah. Well,
Okay. I understand why they're doing what they're doing. Even fundamentally, I agree with that. I think it was the right move. I think it's a shame because I think, there are components of it that are good and there are components of it that are bad. But fine, I understand why they're doing it. I think the carriers are a pack of, well, we won't say what I think they are. But fundamentally, it boils down to Google is taking a feature away from me. Now, admittedly, it's probably a feature that next to nobody uses, but they're taking it away from me, and they're not letting me upgrade my phone. And it's they who are not letting me upgrade my phone.
yeah, I don't understand what you mean by that. They're not letting you upgrade your phone.
I cannot get KitKat from this phone
Oh,
or this
software.
phone.
Okay.
Right. If I could get KitKat, then I would still be able to use this feature. But
What's
they
KitKat?
refuse to give me KitKat.
Is it 4.3?
4.4.
This is stuck at 4.3.
Okay.
But I thought
You know,
KitKat was specifically designed to work on older phones. And it's their freaking phone.
My
No,
Note 3
KitKat
only has 4.3.
That's
Right,
Sam's
but you have a chance of getting an upgrade. They have announced that there is
If
no upgrade
Verizon
coming to
allows it.
and
I
Samsung.
said a chance. I didn't say a good chance. I said a chance.
Any
And
other?
Dan, the issue is not that KitKat was designed to work with older phones, because it wasn't. It was designed to work with memory-constrained phones, which the Galaxy Nexus is.
Okay. Are they just choosing not to do it, or they can't do it because the hardware configuration of that phone? Or do
They can't do it because the chip manufacturer no longer manufactures or supports the chip. So they can't get a driver for it, and they, for whatever reason, decided to get a chip for which they couldn't get source for the driver. At least that's the speculation.
Okay.
There's a component in it that they have no control over.
Anything else on this?
No, but I will remind people that we do have an Android show Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, where we should have talked about this topic.
Which is not this show in particular.
Oh, and Craig, the download finished at 7:01.
Does it cost anything to watch that show Monday night? at 9 o'clock, or can people watch it for free?
You can watch it for free, but there may be an upgrade involved.
But you get what you pay for.
And don't forget
Not from your phone, though.
All right.
And Craig, the upload finished at 7:01.
It seemed like, I'm not looking at the numbers right now, did it seem like it was linear to you, like it uploaded at the same pace the whole time, or did it slow down?
No, because when I'm looking at, as I was updating each timestamp, I saw there was times where it went faster and slower, but again, that I'm doing other stuff too. So, but I mean, I guess we...
So that wasn't bad, but it's still nothing like backing it up to a local hard drive.
I'll do it. I'll do a test, Craig, with my connection, because this show, it's about 6 gigabytes, and when I'm done, I'll do an upload. When I'm not, and I can't now because I'm streaming. I don't want to screw this up. But I'll do a test, and I'll see how long it takes, and I'll check to see if it's linear or if it gets whatever. But I'm on Comcast Business, which isn't metered at all, and you know, I'll see. That'll be a good test. 6 gigabytes is enough to get a good test. Okay, so next up, are we good on that? Or do we want to rant more? Do you want to yell at Craig anymore, Kadeas? Because I'm all for that.
I don't have any, he hasn't said anything out of line.
What are you eating, Craig? It looks really good, real quick. Before I talk about fishing.
Almost finished. It's just a spinach salad.
Okay.
It's got some salmon and some avocado and a few walnuts and some carrots. Just basic, rudimentary salad.
Okay. All right, so next up is this phishing scam, which is actually pretty good. It's basically you get something in an email or whatever, and it takes you to a link to, they've posted it on Google Drive. So normally the way you catch a phishing scam is you look and it'll say you have to update your Netflix password or whatever, and then you hover your mouse over the link in the email, and you see, it might say netflix.x, blah, 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 and then something else.com, right? And then you know it's a scam. Hopefully you know it was a scam before that, but that would be your fail-safe measure. In this case, they're actually storing this on Drive, so it's a google.com URL, and then you get this familiar sign-in screen, and of course this is actually storing it in... I forget, I don't know what the proper terminology is, but it's sending it to their stuff so they can get your Google login information.
Stealing is the proper terminology.
Yeah, so if you were at this, Alan, how would you know you're looking at a Google URL and they're actually going to store this in, I guess, a spreadsheet or whatever, or something? How would you know that this was fake?
Well, no, it's more insidious than that. What's happening, as I understand it, and I've not seen anyone do a complete write-up with it, is of exactly how it works, is that what you're seeing is a form on where the file is stored on Drive. When you enter in the form data, thinking that you're entering in your username and password, it then sends that data to another machine completely. So it doesn't even save it on Drive. It sends it somewhere else completely. The way you check it is actually kind of difficult. This account screen that pops up should be, and it should be a pop-up window, not a window, not the screen itself. So it should pop up as a separate window that is from, I believe it's accounts.google.com. The better way, of course, is that if you're using two-factor authentication, you wouldn't get this screen at all. And that's really fundamentally the best way to know it.
That's a pain, though.
The other factor, of course, is if you've gotten it from your email, and Michael Mason kind of points this out as well. If you've gotten this link from your Gmail and you're going from Gmail, you're already signed in. So if they're prompting you to sign in again, you should be raising some questions. Mm-hmm. There are a bunch of things that are, if you're paying enough attention, suspicious. The problem is it's really pretty convincing looking, and a lot of people are going to get taken in by this one.
So I saw this today, Alan, and because of this phishing scam that I saw you guys posting about, I went ahead and activated two-step verification, which promptly took me into a vortex, spending 2 hours of my precious last day in the United States fixing everything that broke for me, because it broke my precious Evo. So now my email is so secure that even I can't get to it.
How are you reading your email currently?
Normally, I read it from the computer, so from the Chromebook, so I had no trouble. I turned on two-step verification. I used my actual cell phone number to receive the code. I keyed it in. Two-step verification worked fine on the customer's computer that I use and on my Chromebook. Both of them worked beautifully. Then I went to the phone and started looking at it, and I clicked on the email button, or the Gmail button, to bring up email on the phone, and it said sign in again. And it kept telling me that I typed in the password. It kept telling me I was typing in the password wrong. That is not what the problem was. The problem was this phone doesn't support two-step verification. The phone didn't tell me that. The phone didn't tell me that, and Google's page that told me to sign up for two-step verification told me that iPhones wouldn't handle it, and iPads wouldn't handle it, and BlackBerries wouldn't handle it. But they never mentioned that Android phones of a certain age wouldn't handle it. So I went merrily along doing it. I went ahead and did the process and sucked 2 full hours out of my day while I got screwed up, because now my phone doesn't work and I'm leaving the country, and I wanted my phone to work before I left. So then I finally went all the way back to...
Did you ever figure it out?
Yeah, I went all the way back to the point where I decided I even hardware reset the phone, which means I lost all my apps because I couldn't figure out what was wrong, and there was nothing in the description that told me. I lost all my apps, all my local data, and I ended up going back to turn off two-step verification, and in the screen where it tells you about turning off two-step verification, it mentions that older Android devices may not support two-step verification. And if that's the case, you can get this special application-specific password. Try this, which I did, and it instantly worked, and then I had consumed my 2 hours and lost all of my apps and all of my local data on my phone. But now everything's back to normal, and I still love and hate Google at the same breath. But that's the problem with this phone is not that old, Cadeus. It should not be having these kinds of problems. Or if it's going to have these kind of problems, they should tell me in clear wording. They shouldn't tell me in clear wording that Apple's products don't work. I might expect that on my own. They know, and they should tell me if their own products aren't going to work.
How old is that Evo? I want to say it's 2010 is when it came out, right?
I think it's 3 years old, but it could be into the 4th year. I honestly don't know, Cadeus.
It is kind of kludgy, to use Craig's word. Like it's not clear. Sometimes you have to create an application-specific password, and so you get to assign it.
But I mean, a phone is not an application. The operating system is not an application. It's Android. I would have expected that they would say, if you're using Android this version, this version, this subversion, this subversion, you will need to do this instead. And they should have said, and here's how you do that from this model or this model or this model.
Yeah, 2010.
They know all that stuff.
The only thing that has saved me is the text message function, where they'll text message you a code to get in, because I have the app on my phone that's supposed to generate a code, right, that I can get in, and a lot of times that won't work. But the text message option, which is one of the options they give you, that works. So that's the only thing that saved me a couple of times when I've had the.
Well, they gave me.
And I'll tell you, I've been close a couple
Right.
of times.
They did give me
I've been close a couple of times to just getting rid of two-step because it is a pain.
Oh, we have this comment from Andrew Jones McGuire. He says two-step has been supported since Android 4. It might be HTC's fault, not Google's.
No, he's right. He's right. Android originally, you had to do like the specific password thing, and then all of a sudden one day it changed, and it was in Android 4 that it changed. Because I've only been an Android user since Android 4, so at some point it changed, and then you didn't have to use specific.
Do you think
password.
that he has an option to go the application-specific password route for his phone?
Yeah, he said he did it and it worked.
Okay.
He said that's what he did and it
But
worked.
that wasn't clear in the docs. You had to kind of figure that one out because you'd get to the thing where it says enter a password. You would naturally assume they want your Google password, but that's not what they wanted. They wanted an application-specific password, and that wasn't clear at all. So you ended up going to the forums and all this crap. In the end, it's worth it because it's a very secure system.
Well, but Dan, sometimes you can take security too far. I mean, if they know where I am and they know which computer I'm using to log in, and they know I've logged in from this location before with this computer, right? They shouldn't make me jump through as many hoops to log in.
But they don't.
They don't. You can make it a trusted computer.
Yeah, they should know it's the same computer, and they should know I'm at the same location, and they should know that I've
And they
logged
do that.
They
Craig.
do. They do.
They don't. No,
They
not
do that.
always. No, I mean, no. Sometimes it'll forget for whatever reason, and
I
then
never
I'll
have that happen ever.
Well,
then I'll
it
be
only
logging
it
in.
only works for 30 days.
All right, then maybe it's 30
They-
days, whatever. But I'll be
they
trying
check
to
every
log
30
in,
days.
and I'll go through the thing, and like I say, the only thing that has saved me lately, and it only happened one time recently, is there was that option where they would send you the text message, and they sent me the text message, the code, and then I put the code in, and then that worked fine. But the code generator thing on my phone that's supposed to generate a unique code, that doesn't work, and so I'm just saying.
Why do you say that doesn't work? Because that's what I use 24/7.
Sometimes it does work, but the last time on this particular MacBook Pro here, when I tried to use it, I used the code, and I did 3 different codes. You know how it's there for a certain amount of time, and it counts down, right? Okay, maybe I didn't get it in on time, right? And then there was a new code, and it's things counting down. I put the code in, no, failed. And then they have the option down below for them to send you a text message. So I just said, okay, try that. And
Because
then
the reason why I started using the app over the texting is only because there are scenarios where you find yourself where you won't be able to receive that text. If you're traveling internationally, there's no service.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if I wasn't able to get that text, I wouldn't have been able to log in. That's right.
But since I'm
There's
leaving,
somewhere where there's no service, you're not getting in anyway unless you're using the G
well,
authenticator.
that's true.
So
But
that's
somewhere-
why I
I'm-
switched
That's
from
right, and this is why I've been tempted a couple of times just to shut off the two-factor authentication. You know, I mean, it's kludgy, like Dan said. I mean,
Well, that doesn't make it kludgy. You're saying you want to use the text service, but then you have no service on your phone because the tower's down or you're too far away or whatever the case is. That doesn't make it kludgy. That's not Google's fault.
well, in that scenario, I wouldn't be able to get in. I wouldn't be able to get into my stuff.
Unless you were using the Authenticator app, then you would be able to get in.
I've never ever have had it. If I've designated, like the computer here and my laptop are designated as trusted devices, and my phone, and I've never ever had to enter the text message. I've never had it not let me log in with my password on those trusted computers.
Count your blessings.
Are you on a Mac? Maybe that's
Yeah.
Maybe that's
I'm on a Mac.
And like I say,
Yes.
it's not. I'm not saying that it happens often, but I'm saying that recently, for some reason, it happened on my laptop.
Let's follow the normal line of questioning
Maybe
that I
cleared
usually get here.
Maybe I cleared
What
my
version
history,
of-
my cookies and stuff. Actually, I'll tell you what happened. Maybe this is why. I reinstalled the entire operating system on this thing because I put in a new SSD and I started from scratch with a whole new operating system because I like to do that periodically, right? And so that's probably what triggered it, right? But still, it's still the same computer, and I'm still at the same location.
Kadesh, you
Well,
have a
Andrew
comment?
actually brings up a good point. If your cell phone time is off by 30 seconds, then the code won't work. And so if it was around daylight saving time, we know the iPhone has a heck of a time handling daylight savings time. So that's probably why you couldn't get in that one time with the G Authenticator app. If
Yeah,
your
that's
time
fine.
is off on your phone,
Look, no. Look,
No,
I will
no, no.
rank. I will make fun of Apple's inability to handle daylight savings time correctly, but if the time protocol is responding based on local time and not UTC, then somebody at Google should be smacked around. And if your cell phone tower is not getting the correct time to your phone, then your cell phone provider should be smacked around.
well, you can go in the settings and turn that off. Sometimes that happens. I've had that happen to me before, where it was in my pocket and I somehow made it to time and turned off.
Well,
the
then
auto.
you should be smacked around.
The point that I'm trying to make here, is this shouldn't have to be an all or nothing thing. This shouldn't have to be a thing where I get this two-factor authentication and it's so freaking secure that I can't even get in, or I have nothing, or I just have the regular login, which is high risk, right?
But you're the only person having problems out of it.
I'm the only one?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, okay. If that's the case, then I guess we're good.
Are we good on this
Well, I
topic?
don't know if I'll have.
I'm glad nobody else has any problems with Google. Let's move on.
But it's only the first day. I'm only like 6 hours into this, so
Everything's fine.
I can't say if I'm going to have trouble.
Michael, everything's fine, right? With Google.
That's the way it seems right now.
Okay, good. Then we're good. Let's move
But
along. What
I
have we been
want to follow
talking
the
about
normal
for-
line of questioning for you,
I've just
Craig.
been trying to go along with the program here. I thought there were issues, so I figured I'd throw in some more
So
issues.
did you really not be able to sign in, or are you just going along with the?
Hey, I'm a team player here, you know?
All right, so there we go. Google's fixed. All right, so next up is this
Fine.
cool app for glass, and I'll let Alan and Cadeas weigh in because they're glass holes. It's called Preview.
Wait a minute.
Gee, Dan.
by the way, before we move on, can we just all agree that this application-specific password thing is hog shit? Can we
Hey,
No.
agree to that?
I love it.
It's
I
very.
won't-
You can't argue that it's not secure.
It's
You
secure.
can't even get into your own
Actually,
machine.
Very user-friendly, right?
Specific passwords are not secure, but that's another story.
It's very user-friendly and very easy to use, too, right? We can all agree with that. Okay, let's move along.
All right, let me look at Reader to get the next topic here. Okay, so next up is this. It's a cool glass app called Preview, and what it does is you can be at the movie theater, and you just look at a movie poster, and then it displays or it plays the trailer for you.
Oh, that's nice.
So I can imagine Cadeas and Alan and all their little friends staring like zombies at these movie posters and everyone wondering why. Maybe this was for that guy who got busted in the movie when he wasn't doing anything wrong, and they said he was
Because he was wearing glass in the
because
movies.
he was wearing glass in the movie theater. But this is kind of a neat thing, I think. What do you guys think?
It's okay. I played with it once just to
Did
see.
someone say?
I mean, it's no voodoo or anything, but it's, a cute little app.
Well, I'm not sure I'd call it a cute little app, but okay. I don't know, my biggest problem, and I've seen a couple of these now, and I'm actually trying to find the brochure that I got from one of these guys, is, just the way you need to use it and the way you deal with it. I'm not going to stare at a movie, I'm not going to turn the app on, stare at a movie poster until it recognizes it, and then play the trailer and then stand there watching the trailer.
Looking up to the left for 5 minutes, like.
Right. It's to the right.
Or to the right, yeah.
That's not how I use glass. That's not how I think glass works well. It's clever and it's gimmicky, and they're not the only ones that are doing this sort of thing. And I still can't find the brochure that I got from these other guys who are really proud of themselves. So yeah, nifty. But honestly,
So it's not practical.
It's not practical. It's not how most people are using glass. I mean, I will, if I'm... It's one thing to say that I'm going to use it to translate a sign. Because I can, because unless it's a sign telling me to, stand off the railroad tracks, I can take a few seconds to translate a sign. It's not clear to me what benefit it is. I mean, it's gimmicky, is what it boils down to. And, as a gimmick, it's fine. But so what?
Yeah, if you're at the movie theater, you already have in mind what you want to watch. If you need to see trailers, you're going to see those before your movie. So it's like, they're not movie posters at the grocery store. You don't walk down the street and there's a movie poster to the left and the right. So it's not practical.
That's not true, though, Cadeas. There are movie posters on the street.
It depends
on bus stops and...
Yeah,
I could see this being useful if, for example, if you go, like if I went to the movie theater, I would have almost no knowledge of any of them.
Here, Dan, if you want to try it today, here's a company that does the same sort of thing now with your cell phone. It's called Blippar. Blippar. Apps available for, well, let's see, Apple, Android, and, BlackBerry. So you can pull out your BlackBerry and do the same sort of thing. And this is for all sorts of ads. This is their demonstration catalog. So if you run Blippar, and they were at Mobile World, whenever it was, 2 weeks ago or so, showing this off. If you download Blippar and look at one, point it at one of these ads, it'll do something, and maybe that's show a video, and maybe it shows an animated ad, or maybe it shows you a coupon or something. So there's...
It's easy just to say, okay, Google, now show me movie trailer blank, 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 and it does it. Or ask Siri the same. I don't see where this becomes necessary to do it in glass.
Well, it's necessary to do it in glass because doing it in glass is cooler than doing it on your phone.
Because then because you're wearing the device, Cadeas. This does make sense. If you have the device already on your face, then it's easier to do it there than it is to pull your phone out of your pocket and turn it on and swipe it to get the passcode in and blah, blah, blah. If you've got the glass thing on your face already, that's easier.
But again, looking to the left for 5 minutes while I sit here and listen to this trailer that's vibrating on my head, it's not. It doesn't flow well with glass.
I think it'd be cool if you were at a Redbox machine, and you're flipping through, and immediately it starts playing each trailer, and then after 10 seconds, okay, this sucks. You flip again, and you look at a new one.
But the Redbox machine can do that. You don't need glass to do that for you.
Right.
You've got this monitor on your Redbox machine.
Right.
I have a stupid question. You can talk to Google Now?
Yeah.
No.
No.
You don't talk to Google Now. You talk to Google Voice Search.
Okay. I can go with that.
All right, so we all agree
this is confusing the two.
But you gotta remember though, on the Moto X, you say "Okay Google Now" to get it, whereas on the end, just the normal Nexus, you say "Okay Google," so it's a difference. So that's why, because Charlie has the Moto X, and I've been trying to get him to use that more, and so that's why I said "Okay Google Now," because that's what you have to say on the Moto X, versus "Okay Google" on the Nexuses.
I had forgotten that.
So do I have to go look up what I'm supposed to say to my Note 3?
Nope, you just speak natural, but I don't think the Note 3 responds.
The
Moto X will actually have a conversation with you like Siri, right?
So will Google Now. Or so will Google Search.
Oh, okay.
The advantage of Google Now over Siri is that while with Siri you ask it questions, with Google Now it just gives you answers without you having to ask.
Right.
Time
of day.
We have
so it has ESP?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. I mean, you laugh at that, Pam.
But
I think it's GSP, Google Sensory Perception.
but I tell a lot of people that when you're designing glassware, you really need to design it with the you need to read the mind of the person who's wearing it. You need to know when it's appropriate to tell them the right things, what they want to know, when they want to know it, no more, no less. Now, doing that is pretty tricky, but that's what your goal is. We have this comment from Michael Mason. I've used Blipper. It's neat. Pointed it at E-Magazine with a picture of a Ford Focus and a video played on my phone. Cool.
Andrew has another observation. He says if it recognized the film.
Hang on. Let me finish with Michael's first, because I want to hear his further thoughts on this. Okay, so it's cool. Is it anything besides cool? And this is where just because you can do this, does it mean that anybody will want to more than twice? Go with Andrews now.
Okay, so Andrew says if it recognized the film and stored it for later, and then you could use it on any device later to watch that trailer, then that would make more sense. I still think it's an innovative app. It's cute. I mean, every app doesn't have to be the Magna Carta.
No, but you know what it is? Here's part of the thing that gets me about it. And when Glass first started coming out, everyone's first reaction is, oh, Google is now going to be beaming advertising directly into our eyeballs. And Google, immediately came out with absolutely zero glassware, no glassware that does that. Exactly none. And in fact, the glassware that's out currently doesn't let people release advertising on it. You can't do advertising. You can't charge for it. So now we've got these other guys coming along, and what are they doing? They're making advertising flashier. So what? I don't have a fundamental problem with advertising. I have a fundamental problem with making me install an app whose only purpose is advertising.
And then my question to Andrew would be, why would you want to store the movie trailer from later when you can just call it up next time you need it, whether it's Siri or Google?
I think he means like a bookmark, like to say, okay, if you looked at 12 trailers or 12 movie posters in the movie theater, and you didn't want to have to write them down or remember them, you could just like say, okay, store, and then you can retrieve those trailers later without having.
We can do that with the photo too. We can do that with the photo, or I can say, remind me to blank later. Look at 300 later. Like I don't see where this is useful. Like you said, it's just cool. It's neat. I don't see where it's useful.
I mean, Flappy Bird is not useful,
And I don't even have that. I never downloaded it.
All right, so are we good on this? I thought this would be a quick hit topic. I didn't realize this was going to be.
Well, one quick question since we're talking about this.
Prime Minister question time. Huh?
Have you seen BitPay?
BitPay?
You haven't seen that glassware? It's very weird. I'll have to show you after show
I don't
if you haven't
have
seen it. I was just wondering what your opinion was, if you've seen it.
I had not. Okay. So this is kind of a serious topic, and we're all like, where's the freaking plane? And there's this neat website that lets you search for it. And the way it works, and I'll screen share here, this is tomnod.com, TOMNOD.com, and this is the root page. There's a good interview I linked to in our topic doc. I think it's a Wall Street Journal video interview with the creator of this. But basically, this is a free site, and when there's a tragedy, like right now, they've got the missing Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. They've also got an Idaho search and rescue. They've got a super typhoon, an Oklahoma tornado. So the way this works is they take satellite footage or photos, and they get them free from the satellite companies over the areas where they're looking for something, and then you can go through them yourself. And the way it works, they assign the area to you. You don't get to pick which grid you want to look at, so that like Pam and Craig and Alan and I and Cadeas are not all looking at the same area. They kind of spread it out. So like here, if I click this, you'll see I've already joined, so I don't want to. Anyway, so Oh my God, how do I make this thing work here? Okay, so the way it works is you get the picture on this middle of the screen, and it's satellite image. This site is so popular right now that they're having a problem. They're getting some downtime. So basically, you get assigned your area, and then you just look at this grid, and then you can mark it with, I see an oil slick, or I see what I think is plane debris, or I see a life raft, and then you mark that, and then experts will come and double check and see. So I just think this is a fantastic. It's not working right now. I'll show you my post here, where I actually showed an image, but it actually looks like this here. Once you get going, when the site's working, you see the center thing here, and then you can click here, and then it would show you the next grid, and you kind of look, and it, you can indicate up here, I see oil slick, I see airplane debris, I see whatever. So that's kind of how it works. So I just think it's a fantastic use of technology. It's crowdsourcing, trying to find this thing. Pam?
How current are the images?
Today. So, they have satellites from the 12th, 13th, 14th. So they're like within 24 hours in some cases. It depends on the grid, right? It depends on what section they give you. It might be from the 11th to the 12th, but this is, what, a week ago that it went missing. So there's value in looking today, and there's value in looking 6 days ago because the debris may have sunk. But yeah, they have very current data for some of the grids as of like a few hours ago, and they're getting it. The satellite companies are donating, those grids for free, I think, for this purpose. So I just thought this was really cool, and I want to highlight and encourage people, play with it. It's interesting. Basically, it's one ocean shot after another, and then you're like, are these ripples or is that a plane? And when you first start, it shows you the size of a 777 on the map, so you kind of know like how to scale it. But I just think this is a great use of technology, and I would encourage people to check it out, and I would encourage the web host to up their game because it keeps crashing. But any thoughts on this? I just think this. I just thought we should highlight this. Okay, everyone's at Tom nodding off. Cadeas is not impressed. He's like Grumpy Cat right now. Okay, so there we go. That's another ratings bonanza topic, apparently. All right. Next is 25 years ago this week, Tim Berners-Lee proposed a thing called the World Wide Web, and it kind of took off. It was not a fail, and here we are. I don't know where to begin on this. This was, talk about, wow, a game changer.
So
let's
let me
just go down, Alan.
Let me ask this question of everyone. With the possible exception of Cadeas, who may be too young, I'm kind of curious what all of our first, and I'll invite our viewers to comment as well, kind of curious what all of our first exposure to the web was.
Oh, that's a good question. We have to think back, right?
How did you learn about it? What was the first thing you did? What was, what are your first memories on it?
Prior to this, there was stuff like Prodigy, right?
He's smirking at me.
I'm thinking.
What was that, Dan?
Prior to this, there was stuff like CompuServe or Prodigy or AOL.
Sure, there was. Well, there was all of those. There was the internet, and there were other tools on the internet. But what was your first exposure to the World Wide Web? Cadeas?
Oh, okay. I would say, I think it's sixth grade. Sixth grade, my elementary school had Macs, and they had just got the Macs in the whole 9 yards. So when we got to sixth grade, the library had, I want to say, 3 or 4 PCs. And so it was always a little argument to go over and use who's going to be able to use the PC to get on the internet to look at nothing. And so I had heard a little bit about America Online, but I hadn't been able to get to it myself. but at the school they had where you could go to actual websites, because if you remember, America Online had those keywords, and so you had the keyword Nintendo, and so you can go to their little keyword, and I never was privileged to be able to do that at home. So, but then Nintendo finally made an actual worldwide website that even if you didn't have AOL, you could go to it. And so I always wanted to go and use the school computer to go to Nintendo.com and see what was going on there.
Do you remember what browser you used?
It would have been Netscape Navigator. I was a pro Netscape Navigator person for years.
How did we get Netscape Navigator before the web?
What do you mean, how did you get Netscape Navigator?
I mean, did you get a CD-ROM?
You used to get a CD-ROM, or there were FTP sites?
Because I mean, if you don't have the web yet, you couldn't download it.
FTP.
I guess you could get it.
FTP.
Well,
He's
I
right.
think my initial
FTP.
thing was not Netscape. It was
It wasn't a CD-ROM either.
Didn't AOL have a
floppy?
like a way within AOL to browse the web with their own little
they had
thing,
the
and then you would use
keywords.
that to download Netscape or whatever?
Yeah,
You
that's right.
could-
I think
You
they had
could-
like a portal that actually like their
You
own
could
AOL
kind
web
of get
browser.
to the web through AOL. There was a thing you clicked on, and you could get to the.
My first experience with AOL was AOL 2.7 going to 3.0. Like that was that little window right there was when I first was able to get on AOL. So CompuServe and Prodigy we always made fun of, because I think Prodigy charged you to send an email. I think it was like 10 cents an email, where AOL had it unlimited and free. And yeah,
See, that's funny, because we always used to make fun of AOL.
Well, why would you want to pay for email? Like that?
Yeah,
makes
we
no
called it Army of Losers.
Well, but we didn't pay for email. I mean, you know, and
One of
by
the-
we, I mean those of us who were on the internet already.
Oh,
There was
okay.
a big thing like CompuServe or Prodigy. You know, whose camp are you in?
Yeah, I remember. Maybe it was Prodigy. Maybe it was Prodigy that charged you 10 cents an email that you sent, and AOL had unlimited emails. Yeah.
It was the good old days. It's hard to remember the first website I ever looked at. I remember I was using Yahoo, and my sister told me like all the cool people use Google now. And so I tried this strange Google site, and then I think I started using that one. But I don't remember the first site. But I guess it would have been Netscape Navigator, right? And then there was a big to-do when Microsoft included Internet Explorer for free, and Netscape Navigator you had to pay for.
Speaking of
There
the
was a big
Yahoo
lawsuit.
versus
That was one of the first tech lawsuits I'm aware of, right? This would have been early 90s, right? What year was the...
Oh, the lawsuit on that one was even more complicated. I'll get into that in a minute, though. Craig, what was your first experience on the web?
Apple.com.
No, it was probably around 1995 or so, and I think my dad was using AOL, and then he showed me AOL, and I played around with it a little bit, and I think the first thing I said was, "This is way too slow." And then I don't think I messed with it until about 1996, and then that's when I started registering a bunch of domain names to ultimately build some websites.
Pam, what was your first experience on the web?
My dad gave us one of his old computers. I think it had Windows ME on it.
Ooh.
That sucks. They're away from the home networking wizard. Oh my god.
Oh,
That would
oh my
destroy your
goodness.
network like none other.
That's such a classic Microsoft-ism, too. We are discontinuing this line of operating systems. But before we do, we're going to release this piece of junk. Wow.
Yeah, and I remember my very favorite website was Ask Jeeves.
Ooh.
I loved Ask Jeeves.
Very good. So let's see, we've got a bunch of comments here.
You want to talk about painful back in the day in 1996 when I started using Microsoft Front Page, the beta version. That was
I forgot all about
dealing with
Front.
that. That was painful. Every time you uploaded, it uploaded the whole website again. It didn't just upload the changes that you made.
I remember
You
that.
had to do it at like 2 o'clock in the morning so that you made sure your upload didn't get interrupted and didn't get screwed up. You had to start over again, right?
Yeah. It was funny because I went to take your kid to work day with my mother, and this was kind of maybe in the late 90s, and so she was like, I'm gonna search the internet real quick, and so she goes to search, and she pulls up Google.com, and I'm like, what is Google.com? She's like, I don't know, some man told me, don't use that, use Yahoo, and so I literally forced her to go over and use Yahoo, and right to this day, she still uses Yahoo Mail, and I'm steady screaming at her, why are you still using this Yahoo junk? All the time we get into this, she always, you're the one that showed me this. It's always a big argument over that. But I've turned her away from Google, and now I'm trying to get her to come back, and she won't switch. It's crazy.
Go ahead with some comments, Alan.
We've got a pile of comments, and some of these are great ones. Thank you, everyone. Michael Mason. So ARPANET never existed? Computers were not connected worldwide prior to 25 years ago? No. We specifically said the web is only 25 years old. The internet's much older.
Back to the 60s,
and it was
right?
Google. If it was Google that invented it, they would probably have closed it down several years later.
Touche.
First web experience was Lynx on a Unix box.
Lynx.
What Unix box, Kevin? I want to know, and so I can tell you my stories.
I bet it had at least a 40 megabyte hard drive.
My first exposure, a 56 kilobit per second modem and painfully slow.
Mine was 28.8.
1996, my friend had AOL, and in 1997, our school got a 33.6 dial-up. I got to tell you, people, I still remember a 2400 baud modem, and I liked it.
I never had a 300, but I had a 24. Go ahead, Pam.
My husband's parents, they wanted a way to just send email, to the church, right?
Oh, did they get one of those email terminals?
Oh, MSN TV or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I tell you, until his dad died 2 years ago, we were still paying $21 a month for that.
Oh my God!
I'm like, let me get you the internet, and they're like, oh no, I'm like, you have no idea how much faster. No, we know how to, and I swear I would go over there to use it, and that thing, it's kind of like using a 10 key to navigate. You know how you have to type in everything. Oh my God,
I think just until a couple years ago, there were still people paying whatever the legacy Ma Bell AT&T for phones every month.
Yeah.
My first computer was a 286 with an amber monitor, right? The yellow, just one color monitor, with a 40 megabyte hard drive, and it had GeoWorks, which was great. I loved PC Geos or GeoWorks, whatever it was. It was like a suite of applications with a word processor and a draw program and stuff. And I don't remember the first website I went to, but I remember it was it opened a world to me. And I was the director of communications at Randolph-Macon Academy, and we introduced the internet in '93. We were the first high school in the country that had internet in every dorm room via Ethernet. We actually shared, get this, we got a T1 line, which is 1.544 megabits per second, and the whole school shared that. And it was $3,000 a month for that line. Plus about that was for the data, and I think it was about $1,000 a month for the T1 line through the phone company, right? You had to pay $1,000 a month for the actual T1 line, and then you had to pay for the data. So it was about $4,000 a month for 1.544 megabits per second, which was shared by like 300 or 400 people, staff and faculty and the students. So it's a little faster now. And then I remember when the cable company got involved, and it just, I mean, the speeds were, crazy. Adelphia Cable, and then Comcast, they went bankrupt and stuff. Go ahead, Alan. You got more comments?
More comments here. Some of these are great. Lynx was all text all the time. It was awesome-o. Netscape Navigator, 1997.
Woo, yeah.
Browsers were all on disk and FTP. Wow, those were the days. AOL using the skinned Internet Explorer browser. Was it using Internet Explorer? I thought it was using a skinned Mosaic browser.
I think they shifted each time over the years, because originally it was Netscape, and then it went to Internet. I remember they kept shifting around. He's right about that. They did.
So Michael Mason asked if anyone on the show still uses IRC,
IRC.
and Thomas said that they did. Now, I need to know from you guys, do you pronounce it IRC or IRC?
We always said IRC in my circles.
You were wrong. I jump in Freenode now and then. How do you pronounce the GIF? How do you pronounce that?
I'm not getting into this argument right now.
Okay.
Didn't the creator say it was pronounced like a J?
Yeah, he's wrong. I started with Yahoo too. Google was amazing as a search engine, even in 1998. Everyone else was using indexing. I remember the Yahoo fight rooms. Man, those were the days.
Oh, yeah!
Can you clarify?
I use Ask Jeeves a lot too.
What do you mean by indexing versus Yahoo?
Huh?
Okay, the deal about Yahoo, and this was, at the time, their revolutionary concept. Yahoo didn't do spider crawling. It didn't do indexing. Every single site that you could find on Yahoo was suggested by someone else. It had to be entered into the database manually. And this was intentional. The whole point of Yahoo as a directory service was that it was almost a curated best of the best.
And they charged. I remember you could pay if you just submitted it to Yahoo, because I don't think they had crawlers then, but you could pay $200 and get listed quicker. So if you set up your business web page and you paid $200, they'd list you right away, or you could submit it and just wait. But can you imagine Google charging to be included? What a shitstorm that would cause?
Yes, we can. From Captain Euro, my first experience was through links on an Amiga. When I said links on the Unix box, it wasn't my box and you didn't know what version it was. The reason I ask is I'd been using Unix for a while. And it was around that time that a friend of mine, you're wrong too, Thomas.
Thomas isn't wrong.
It's IRC, people. IRC.
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 And
And
Andrew
around that
notes, he says, Dan, all the other search engines required manual submission. Google was the first spider.
Google wasn't the first spider, but they were the ones that really made it into something. There were, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I'd actually have to go look up my research paper at the time. But there were other ones doing spidering. In fact, I believe Alta Vista was doing spidering
Is that how you
before
pronounce
Google
that?
was.
Vista?
Alta Vista?
I always said Alta Vista. Sheila Dubois, welcome. Tell us, what do you remember when you first used the World Wide Web? We're talking about the 25th anniversary of Tim Berners-Lee proposing this idea of a connected HTML markup protocol. Did I say that right, Alan?
I don't remember when. It's like years ago.
This is post-Prodigy, post-AOL, right? Or I guess, around
Well,
the same time.
I remember the BBS days.
Yeah.
Is that close to internet or not?
Yeah, I ran
Maybe.
one. I ran a BBS, a breadboard system from eSoft, TBBS.
Yeah, I started with the BBS, and my husband had signed up for a lifetime, service, but then the BBS died when the internet came out. So, there you go. It's like,
Yeah, amateur radio was affected by the internet as well. As far as popularity, it still exists, and it's great because when you have a hurricane, a tornado, these individual generator-powered amateur radio stations are still awesome for, we need something. But so go ahead, Alan. Any more comments?
Well, no, that's most... Okay, Michael, here's the thing. IRC, Internet Relay Check, how does that sound like IRC? Okay. What client do you use? Do you use the Urkel client? Come on, people, it's IRC. Just like you don't pronounce.
I used to use Merck.
You don't pronounce that operating system that starts with a U, UNIX. You pronounce it Unix. It's a pun. Think about it. As for my first experience on the World Wide Web, it was 1993. I was doing some work. I was working for the Air Force at the time, and in my spare time, I was doing some work on information systems. And I mentioned what I was doing to a friend of mine who was working at Xerox PARC at the time, or he may have been interning at Xerox PARC. And he said, "Oh, you should check out this World Wide Web thing." So he sent me the link for the Mosaic browser. I believe it was at version 1.01 for the Solaris operating, the Sun OS operating system. And I tried it out, and I immediately took to it. I wrote my first web page that night. 2 days later, I said, "Hey, I'm trying to do this interactive thing, so, you can enter in data and it will save it and show you the page later." And he said, "Oh, you're going to need a web browser for that." So I downloaded a web browser. That web browser eventually became what we now know as Apache. The Mosaic web browser, the team behind it, many of them eventually went on to found Netscape and then get into a lawsuit with the University of Illinois, who owned Mosaic, because they wanted to call their browser Mozilla. So they got into a tiff with, or they wanted to call their company Mozilla. They got into a tiff with the University of Illinois about that name, and that's how the name Netscape got created. It's interesting to see how things evolve. 25 years on, or it's actually more like 20 years on, some of the code that was in Mosaic can still be found in Internet Explorer because Microsoft, rather than write the whole thing from scratch, licensed it from University of Illinois and repackaged it as Internet Explorer. I remember Internet Explorer version 1. It was crap. I knew that it was going to be crap forevermore, and I was right. Other things I wasn't so right about, I still remember when JavaScript was released with Netscape version 2.0, and I didn't think it was going to amount to much of anything. While the Java plugin that they were introducing at the same time, that I thought was going to be so I was right on some things and wrong on others. It's just surprising what I still remember. My first website is still up and running, and it's now been running for 20 years.
What's the URL?
That would be
T would say the
adventure.com.
URL.
ADDVENTURE.com. Andrew asks, how do you pronounce ICQ? I pronounce it ICQ because that's also a pun. It's a pun, people.
What's the pun with ICQ?
It means I seek you.
Or
you
yeah. Or
now,
I
you
see
understand that
you.
was an Israeli company, right?
What was that?
You understand that was an Israeli company that designed that, right?
If I didn't remember that, but wait, ICQ?
I used to use it.
Was it Israeli? I thought that was
Alan, what's the URL again?
Adventure. It's also a pun.
ADD Ventures, right?
Yes. No, singular. ADD Venture.
Yeah, ADD Venture. Attention Deficit Disorder Ventures.
Right. ADD Ventures is something on attention deficit disorder, which is perfectly.
Really? I didn't realize that, but that's cool.
Our flagship program, a series of stories with branching storylines. That's you, Alan?
That's me.
And this is from 93.
There is stuff on there that dates from 93, 94, yes.
Awesome. It looks retro.
The design hasn't changed much.
No. Nice logo.
From Andrew, I started with Internet Explorer version 3. with a frowning face, and we can all understand why there's a frowning face.
Either that or just a backward smile.
But it's interesting to see how much has changed and how much hasn't changed.
I double checked, Dan. Alan, I found the correct pronunciation for IRC. It's IRC.
It's IRC. Let me tell you what. Let me ask you something, and let me ask something of the people in the chat. Okay, when you were on, when you first joined IRC, did the channels have names or just numbers? When you first joined IRC, did your channels have names or just numbers?
Some had names and some had numbers.
I don't remember. I think the names, but I'm not sure.
Been too long.
Alan explaining the pronunciation for you. Right there in the
This
chat.
is like an Alzheimer's test.
Yeah, it's Internet Relay Chat, IRC. Okay.
Everything on the internet says the same.
We still say it's IRC.
It's IRC.
I mean, it's like, remember the program Mirc? M-I-R-C?
You remember that one too, yeah.
Yeah, and then there was a couple of others,
Yeah, everyone who was talking 20, 25 years ago was saying IRC.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I'll tell you.
All right, so...
Wait a minute. You're directing me to a URL. Get this URL. I love this one already. /US/pronunciation/British. Okay,
No,
somebody is confused.
Google search, how is IRC pronounced? Every single site says it exactly the same, no matter what. Every single site. I've literally clicked on everything here. I'm trying to find the IRC, but I am not finding it anywhere. Everybody is saying IRC, IRC.
They're wrong. It's very simple. They're wrong.
Oh boy.
I mean, I can argue from authority, but fine.
All right, IRC. I'm IRC'd. Let's move on.
I'm looking at the $1 Million homepage. Remember that? But that's from 05. I thought it was older than that.
$1 Million homepage?
Yeah, the guy sold pixels for $1 a piece.
Oh, I do remember that. I saw
yeah.
that on America. Good Morning America.
Yeah, he got a lot of publicity for it, and it's 1 million pixels, $1 a pixel, and he sold it pretty quick, and he made $1 million for college. So good for him.
If I had thought about it, I would have dragged out my Wired magazine article that mentions me. That was my last claim, my last big claim to fame.
I thought your starring role on Google Plus Week was your last claim to fame, or the GDE thing.
I said my last. As in
Your last was last Friday, right?
All right. Any final thoughts on the 25th anniversary of the World Wide Web? Thank you, Tim Berners-Lee, by the way. If you're watching. He might be busy. I don't know. All right, so there we go. All right, so next.
Oh, hang on.
Go ahead.
The other thing is that he did come out this week, Tim Berners-Lee, and say that he's very concerned about the future of the web. And he's very concerned. Pam posted in our document. She posted in our document, or just when we were chatting earlier. I think just when we were chatting earlier. He's now set up a website, which I am trying to find quickly, and I'm not going to be able to. I believe it was something like the Web at 25, web25.com. Someone help me out here.
I think it was actually it was a Google
web at 25.org. And that's him expressing some of his concerns about the future of the web.
And he did an official Google blog post about it, I think.
That's true, he did, yes.
So there's that. And yeah, we'll get I wonder if I should move Let me move this up because this is Alan. Let's do this next.
Just do it. Just do it. Don't ask. Just do it. You're the host.
We're sponsored by Nike this week. I'm going to move this last topic up here. This is ICANN. I forget what the acronym means, but they control the internet domain names. And the U.S. is going to give up its key governance role in the internet. And this has been controversial because folks are like, we don't want to give it to the UN because you have like North Korea in there and China, countries that censor stuff. And we don't want to, there's been a fear of this because the internet was largely invented in the United States. It was a DARPA or ARPA, whatever project. And we've always controlled it here. And so beginning in 1997, the United States government started considering the idea of making it a more international thing. And so now it looks like they're going to do that, and they're going to create sort of an international body of some sort. It's kind of vague. And I think this was probably pressure because the Edward Snowden leaks and all the spying and stuff, and so other countries are concerned about the U.S. controlling the internet, and maybe that means they can spy on everybody or whatever. But that was kind of the impetus to do it again, to put this back on the front burner. What do you guys think about this? Should the U.S. relinquish control of this creation that we created, which is now used worldwide?
Well, let's be clear what it says that they're giving up, as I understand it. They're giving up control of the naming system and the numbering system, which isn't exactly giving up control of the internet, but the internet wasn't exactly something they had control over in the first place.
Exactly.
So this isn't giving up control of routing. This isn't changing any of the core, how it does what it does. Well, that's not true. DNS and IP addresses are pretty core to it. So I didn't mean to sound like I was understating it there. But this basically means that ICANN, who are the ones who currently control the naming, are going to report to somebody else. It's not entirely clear who they're giving it up to, but considering that right now ICANN really isn't being supervised by anybody, let's put it this way. I certainly can't see another organization doing a worse job than the Commerce Department.
Well, what are the implications?
Well, I guess to understand the implications, you need to understand what ICANN does now.
And
so right now, ICANN is... What was that?
I said I don't.
Okay. So right now, ICANN is responsible for... well, we have what are called a lot of global top-level domains, GTLDs. These are domains like .com, .org, .net. We've all heard of these, right? They're also the ones who recently approved names such as .info. It now seems like they've recently approved several hundred.
And the .xxx or whatever.
What was that?
The ones that they had .org, .com, and .net, and then they added like .xxx and .info and a bunch of other ones, right? So
exactly. That's what they're that's ICANN. They're to blame for this. And while some of these make some sense, other ones make absolutely no freaking sense whatsoever. I think some of the ones they're proposing are like .shoes.
Well, also it's kind of a moneymaker because
duh.
Yeah, every time you create, if you roll out a bunch of new ones, then McDonald's, IBM, Ford, Motor Company, they have to buy all those to keep someone else from using them. So you get instant customers.
Right. It's basically a license to print money.
Yeah, there was the initial iteration, .com, .edu, .org, etc., and then I think the next generation was each country got one, and then
Each country got one right off the bat initially anyway. Those are
okay.
managed differently. They're actually not completely under the jurisdiction of ICANN.
So each country gets to control their own domain.
Yes.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound like this. This sounds more like clickbait to me. It's nothing's changing necessarily. I mean, this wasn't anything that the U.S. had real control over. So why this is a story, whoever redcode.net, I don't know why they even made this a story. It's not that big a deal.
So China's not going to be able to shut down the internet.
No.
Basically.
Well, no more than they already
They
can.
don't have that power either. So, I mean, come on now. This is ridiculous that they even made this a story.
It's all. I mean, it's sort of self-powered anyway, isn't it? I mean, could the U.S. if they chose to shut down the internet? It's
can
based
call
in
it-
Reston, right, or Northern Virginia?
I mean, they could call.
No, they can't really. What?
So they could shut down the U.S. part, but like China's could still function fine. They just couldn't get to us, our sites. And,
Well, it depends what you mean by shut down. You know, do you mean shut down every backbone? Do you mean, as Kadea's asked, shut down every ISP? Do you mean just shut down the connections out of the country? What do you mean? And that's a rhetorical question, Dan. I don't actually expect you to answer that.
I think that my amateur radio analogy is kind of applies because that's where everyone's like self-sustaining, and as long as you have a
Well, but
generator
here's the
antenna, then anyone within range can hear you.
But here's the problem, Dan. You can do internet over amateur radio, and they do it all the time. So if for whatever reason somebody pulled the plug on the border, then a bunch of people using ARN would use internet over ARN.
ARN being, for any of our viewers, who may
Amateur
not
Radio
know.
Network.
Okay. Why do I have the feeling I'm
It's
like the
packets-
big bird of the program? I make all the dumb mistakes so the children watching can empathize with someone. All right.
Sure, we'll go with that, Dan.
All right. So anything else on the U.S. to give up key internet governance role? Which,
Well, I think the big thing I see on this story is, yeah, they're going to give it up, but they don't say who they're going to give it up to, and they're not really sure who they're going to give it up to. And they're not going to turn it over to the UN, but they don't know who else to give it to. And what?
But even if they turned it over to the UN, it's a naming system. It's not like it's the internet. So I don't
so
know
basically
why
it's vaporware. They're starting a 12 to 15 year process to form a commission to
what?
study and make a report, and then it's
But
bullshit.
Kadeus, here's the other thing is it's also it's a internet so names and numbers. So yeah, there is a component to this that somebody needs to govern and regulate. It's handing out the autonomous system numbers. It's handing out it's managing the routing tables. There's stuff that is needs to be managed by somebody. The modern internet doesn't just run itself.
Right.
Okay. It's not a potted plant. All right, so there we go. The world is coming to an end. All right,
And
so
we feel fine.
next up, speaking of coming to an end, Windows XP support ends April 8th, and this is, I think, 27% of all computers are running Windows XP. And I am an example. So here's my question. I have a computer on the floor here that is running XP, and I use it for business for my newspaper layout software. We have Adobe Creative Suite on there, InDesign, Photoshop, etc. And I actually lay the newspaper out on a Windows XP machine. I do it because it works. I don't want to upgrade because it's fine. It works. It's fast enough for that. It's from 07 or 06 era. And what I don't know if it's upgradable. I'm not sure. I don't want to change anything. XP is used in a lot of, I think, ATM machines use XP. Some, like if you go into I think I saw sheets that used XP. Sheets is
Many businesses are still using XP.
Yeah, and if you're a big business with a bunch of computers, upgrading is a hassle, and if it works, it works. But I went into one of these. Sheets is a East Coast convenience store gas station thing that makes subs, stuff like a Wawa or whatever. I'm sure they have different ones on the West Coast. And I saw one that one of the computers rebooted or whatever, and it still had the XP logo. So, do they want to have to upgrade all their stuff? So what should I be afraid of? What's going to happen after April 8th, guys? Is this something I can just not worry about, or is it something I am going to have to, in fact, upgrade the operating system, which I really don't want to have to do?
You don't have to upgrade it at all, Dan. I'm sure there are lots of nice little viruses that would love to be running on your computer.
And then secondly, it's just support, Dan. So you just can't call Microsoft and get some help. But how often do you actually do that?
Never, ever.
Okay, so it doesn't
But that
matter.
means you don't get the updates. Is the issue? You don't get the that.
Well, there's not
Tuesday
very many
reboot
updates.
There's not going to be updates. There's no support.
There's not many updates for XP as it is there?
Yeah, there are plenty. There are still security holes that they're finding in XP.
Oh. I know where
So the question for folks who have, like me, who have an XP machine, and they have their business software and they do their whatever function. It's not a general machine I browse on or whatever. I'm the only one who uses it. Should I be afraid, or will I probably be okay?
There's no support.
Both.
You're on your own. No updates, no nothing, no support.
And it's
That's all.
27% of the computers out there. Is this reasonable for Microsoft, or is this outrageous, or what?
I don't know. All I know is, where I go to church, they use XP on all their machines, every one of them.
John?
And if they have to upgrade, it's a pretty pricey thing that they have to do.
Especially if you upgrade a bunch of them. John C. Dvorak wrote a column for PCMag.com this week where he said that he suggested that Microsoft should go to a subscription model. They should keep updating it and supporting it, and they could charge, if they charged $1 a month, then that would be
They were charging a hell of a lot more than $1 a month.
But if they charged just $1 a month, that would be $6 billion a year in gross revenue, assuming everyone did it.
Right. They're I believe that they actually is this the end of extended support or just basic support? Because I believe that there are customers who are paying them massive amounts of money for support. At least they have on various other products that they've end-of-lifed. I'm not sure if this is the end-of-life or the absolute drop-dead point.
Yeah, if you've got, if you're AIG and you've got, a bunch of terminals or whatever that are running XP, you'd pay that.
Those aren't the problem. Those guys will pay to actually upgrade their hardware. The problem are the ATM machines that are running XP. Those are the problems because they're embedded systems.
Yeah, because they work.
It's the thing.
They don't want to upgrade them, and it'd be horrifically expensive and time-consuming.
They can't upgrade them. Upgrading them would mean ripping the machine out and putting a new one in. And it would mean designing it, But I'm curious to hear Cadeas' thought. Cadeas, what do you think people should be upgrading from XP?
As I said earlier on the other topic, the system's way too old. It's time to modernize. It's time
But also, nobody's like browsing the web on an ATM machine either. I mean, they're pretty closed systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the threat.
One would hope.
Well, I definitely think banks should upgrade. They absolutely.
But you know what's funny, Pam? Those are the people who won't upgrade.
Now, whether my husband upgrades the desktop, I don't know. I don't even know if it would support it. I don't know if we have enough RAM or if we can put enough RAM in there. So,
honestly, my honest perspective is there are certain cases.
and
where
if you say buy a new computer, Cadeas, I'm going to tell you,
wait, you didn't even let
send me the check, buddy.
Flying leap.
let me say it yet. I was gonna say even this goes with phones too. There are certain cases and certain scenarios where you don't necessarily need to get a new phone or a new computer. Banks are the people, banks and those type of things that are doing secure data. They need to be with the most modern, and they don't always do that. So as far as people at home, really, it's based on the use and what you're using it for. If you're trying to play the latest game, obviously it's not gonna fly on Windows XP. Versus if it was my grandmother just wanting to type her paper every week, that's going to be different. So I understand that even though I'm always pro-modern, everybody hurry up and buy the next thing, all that stuff. Not everybody.
I will tell you what my husband does with his computer after the show, because I'm not going to out him on the show, but he probably should upgrade.
I just hate that you have a perfectly good functional computer for a specific task, like an ATM machine or the ordering a sub at the gas station, or in my case, laying out a newspaper. Why should I have to throw that perfectly good functional machine, which meets my needs, and works, because these assholes at Microsoft are going to do this?
Well, that's good. That's good. If it works fine, continue to use it, but don't expect the new stuff to work on that old machine.
I don't expect that.
Google Wallet payments or anything else. Don't expect the new stuff to work.
No, what I expect is what I fear is that there will be exploits and someone will hack in and destroy my machine or something. That's the fear.
Right, but I mean,
I understand I'm not going to be able to put the newest version of whatever on this 2007 computer.
And don't plug it into the internet. Just put the newspapers out through it.
Like you can't do that. I mean, how do you?
How do you think he gets the data onto it? How do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the stuff.
The paper when it's done. How does he get it off of it?
I mean, he can go a traditional route.
Connected.
Well, then he's asking for trouble.
Yeah, I can get a 3.5-inch floppy disk and then.
Yeah, move it. I mean, you're using ancient technology. Go ahead and pull that floppy out.
I got your ancient technology.
What I would do is I would in that scenario. I mean, again, we're just painting random scenarios, but I would just build a little private network just for that one use, just so I can move from this system to that system. If I just had to hold on to the old stuff, but as you know, I'm gonna run and get the new thing and get rid of the old stuff.
All right. Are we good on XP?
I'll send you my specs, my minimum specs, and you can you probably can get it at Newegg. And just send it to me.
Well, we'll go to Costco and get one of those.
Fry's. You and I should go to Fry's. Oh my God.
I've never been there actually. I've never even walked in that store.
It's got. You talk about too much white space and unused space on the new Google homepage. Go to a Fry's. You talk about space that's not used. Okay, so next up is Elon Musk, who's always just not shy. This is the Tesla topic that I love talking about the local car dealerships all being in an uproar about Tesla's model where they don't use a dealership. They have their own stores from the factory, and they show the vehicles. They answer your questions. You can buy a Tesla, and then if you break down, they give you a loaner, and they fix it themselves. But they don't use independent franchised auto dealers. And of course, the existing independent franchised auto dealers don't like this, and so they lobby the state legislatures to lock in the system and prevent Tesla from being able to modernize the industry. So Elon Musk, the most recent place was in New Jersey, and he really unleashed a tirade specifically against Chris Christie. And I'll just read a couple parts here. On Tuesday, under pressure from the New Jersey auto dealer lobby to protect its monopoly, the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission, composed of political appointees of the governor, ended your right to purchase vehicles at a manufacturer's store within the state. And then he says, the rationale given for the regulation change that requires auto companies to sell through dealers is that it ensures consumer protection. If you believe this, quoting Elon Musk, if you believe this, Governor Christie has a bridge closure he wants to sell you. And then he sort of, he said, unless they're referring to the mafia version of protection, this is obviously untrue. So this is classic Elon Musk. He doesn't mince words. But what, any thoughts on this, guys, about the whole, it's coming. And so now what they do, I think in Virginia they have to do this. They can have a showroom. They can show you the vehicle. You can do a test drive. They can answer questions about the vehicle, how many miles on a charge, etc. They cannot talk to you about price, and you cannot buy it from there. You can buy it online, or you can go to another state. Any thoughts on this at all? I
would just make advertising campaigns encouraging everybody to drive across the state line and pick up a Tesla as opposed to buying it from New Jersey. I would smear them so bad. I sure would.
That's what he's doing. But New Jersey is a big market for them. I think it's one of their top markets outside California. And so they're going to steer.
I don't think it's their biggest market, but I believe it is one of their top markets.
It's a big deal.
All the more reason. Because then it's not sold. By then, it's not sold in New Jersey. So because of that, they're not subject to New Jersey taxes. Therefore, New Jersey loses money over it.
The problem is no. The problem, Cadaeus, is that you are subject to New Jersey taxes still.
If you purchase something in another state, is that how it works? I don't know how it works over there.
It works it works that way in California too. I'll tell you that.
Well, if you purchase something in California, you're subject to California tax. But if you go to Oregon or Nevada, you're subject to their taxes at where you purchased it.
Right, and when you bring it into California, you're subject to California use tax.
Oh, we're talking cars. That's right. You're right.
Hey, real quick, let me throw in these two comments. Andrew Jones McGuire, this is from a previous topic. Andrew says, I'm not updating 12 XP computers. I can't afford it, but I'm not worried about viruses, and my hardware firewall is pretty locked down, so I'm not worried about remote exploits. And then, of course, the comment from Captain Euro that Cadaeus will enjoy. Does anyone know if I can take my Ford Model T to Ford Certified Mechanics and have it fixed for free? No? Okay. Again, touche. So, yeah, let's continue with our Tesla topic. Pam, what do you think? Alan, go ahead.
My favorite commentary about this, and I don't remember who I heard say this, in discussing this, the comment was, Elon Musk is rich. Why doesn't he just buy the New Jersey legislature like everyone else does?
That's the way it works, right? I mean, let's be honest here. Cadaeus, if I gave you 10 grand a year as a donation to whatever cause, your campaign or whatever, you probably would answer the phone when I call, correct?
Oh, we want to talk about answering the phone when he calls? We can talk, I mean, that's what's his name, Zuck's phone call to the White House, but that's another story completely.
Yeah,
which is not on the agenda for tonight.
We can add it if you want.
No, we're running long.
Any other thoughts on New Jersey's protectionism of the legacy auto dealer model?
You know what? Here's the thing. I very firmly agree with what Tesla is doing. That said, there certainly have been automobile manufacturers that if there was not a dealer system in place, they would be screwing the customer over big time.
Elaborate.
What was that?
Elaborate? Clarify? What do you mean?
Sure. The reason why the dealer system is in place is basically because automobile manufacturers would do things like sell you a car that couldn't be serviced. So you'd now own a car and you'd have no way to, if it broke down, you'd have no place to take it to get it fixed. They wouldn't sell parts to local mechanics. They wouldn't have a parts depot in state. So at the time when there was not necessarily a great distribution system, if your car broke down, you would be talking a week or more to get the part in, if they would sell you the part at all, and there was no requirement that they sell you the part. They may have made you upgrade to the latest car.
But those are legacy things from when there were 500 different auto manufacturers.
No,
and they've consolidated the point. Isn't this a 1925 solution to a problem that doesn't exist in 2014?
Well, no. I think the problem does still exist. It may not exist with Tesla, but it does serve to protect you against other fly-by-night automobile manufacturers.
It's not illegal for Tyson to sell me chicken over the internet. It's not
How many
illegal
replacement-
Yeah, but your chicken don't break
Microsoft,
down, Dan. When does
it's-
your chicken break down? And you got to get another heart for your chicken. Like that doesn't.
Say
Okay,
that again,
it's-
Cadet. That
it's-
sounded really good. Say that again.
It's not illegal for Microsoft or any company to sell me software over the internet, which, you know, I got Sony Vegas Pro by downloading it directly from Sony's website. They're a Japanese company with a, you know,
So Dan,
major U.S. presence. This is the government singling out an industry and picking winners and losers. And the government shouldn't be in the business of picking winners and losers.
no, it's not picking out winners and losers.
It sounds like it's consumer protection.
It's bullshit. It's picking winners and losers. It's picking the existing car dealers over someone who's trying to innovate. This is just like with Uber
Dan,
and other companies.
hang on. Dan, here's the thing. Nowhere does it say that the existing car dealers have to be the ones that are Tesla's dealerships. Tesla
Right,
can
Tesla
pick
can-
anyone
can-
they want to be
Tesla-
a dealership.
Tesla is free to create a franchise system with a bunch of middlemen who will mark up the price of their vehicles from the existing
And-
70, 80,000 plus cost.
And will also compete against each other.
Or
right now-
why can't they just sell them themselves? You know, why do I have to go to Walmart to buy Sony Vegas Pro? Well, that's a bad example because they don't sell it. Why can't I just go to Sony's site and buy it?
Well, but here's the thing. You can go to Sony's site and buy it, or you could go to Best Buy and buy it. Buy it.
No, you can bite it, Alan.
Or you can go to Costco and buy it. But
Right.
what if the only way to get a Sony Vega TV was to go to Sony's site? Do you think that the price would be as competitive?
The thing is, no. If it was
No,
exclusive,
thank you.
no.
Case closed. Christie wins. I can't believe I said that.
Wow.
But a car manufacturer, right?
Am I allowed here?
What? What?
I'm having network problems. Keep going.
Oh.
Sorry.
A car manufacturer actually has authorized dealers. It's not like they just willy-nilly sell them to whoever and at a wholesale price, and whoever can resell them to the public. I mean, they basically price fix all the cars anyway, so you're not really going to get a deal. So I don't think Tesla's doing anything really different than what other car manufacturers are doing. They're just doing it in a different manner, but they're still doing the same thing, right? They're cutting out that middleman. Number
Well, but
one.
The counter argument, and I'm not necessarily agreeing with this counter argument, but the counter argument is that the dealers do compete on price. You can go from one dealer to another and say, if you're going to do so,
within a small frame of and the dealer and the manufacturer often adds incentives to the dealer to pass on to the customer.
yeah.
But you cannot go to Joe's auto sales place and get a brand new Ford unless Ford has authorized Joe to sell Fords.
That's correct. And in fact, we will remember it was only 3 or 4 years ago that General Motors told dealerships, hey, you're no longer a dealership. We're going to stop. You're no longer authorized. And a lot of them got screwed over that way.
But
So, yeah,
to put that,
you know-
but to be fair, GM had way more dealerships than other companies. Like I think Toyota, for what's their high end car, the Lexus.
Whatever. That's not.
Whatever.
No, you're
but
right.
they had like 10% of the number of dealerships. They had like 150 dealerships to GM's 3,000 or something. I mean, those are wildly inaccurate numbers, but it was that crazy difference. So
Right, but the point still stands that it's not like the dealerships are really independent. They are mostly they are not necessarily owned by the company, but they're very dependent. They're very dependent on each other.
it's just like
And the
McDonald's.
automobile
McDonald's controls
manufacturers-
the menu.
What was that?
It's just like McDonald's. McDonald's controls the menu. You can't like go wildly crazy at your McDonald's franchise. I mean, these are franchises, just like a
Yeah, and
restaurant.
McDonald's is getting into trouble for that too, but that's another story as well. Sure, but there's a certain association between the two. And here Tesla is saying, look, why have this sham association?
I understand it's a legitimate argument that there was a time, and it could still be applied today, that's not unfair, that a car dealer could sell a vehicle and then you can't get it repaired locally and you're screwed and the car company goes out of business or whatever. But I don't think, again, I don't like the government picking winners and losers and you have an innovative company that's modern. They sell their cars
Here's
over
the thing
internet.
I don't get though, Dan. Dan, stop. How are they picking winners and losers here? I don't
saying
get that aspect.
They're picking the auto dealers lobby against Elon Musk versus Elon Musk because Elon Musk isn't bribing them.
Dan, what they're saying is he needs to play fair, just like all the other manufacturers have to have dealerships. We want you to have dealerships too. That's not picking a winner or a loser.
Well,
now I don't agree with it, but I'm saying that's not what they're saying. They're saying be fair.
Yeah, I mean,
You
clearly
need to
the local auto dealers won and Elon Musk lost. The consumers lose.
It's not clear at all that the
arguably.
local auto dealers won.
Yeah,
Let
because
us-
like Tesla can't have sell their vehicles in New Jersey anymore. People have to
they
go to
can.
New
Get
York.
it.
Let us hypothetically say that Tesla does establish a dealership program. Okay? Do you think for a moment that they are going to talk to any local dealer in New Jersey and offer them the dealership?
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. They'll probably do their own. But what Tesla does is they don't repair stuff locally. It's not efficient to have. What Tesla says is they don't view the traditional dealer model where in order to be a car dealer, I can tell you what the Virginia law is. That if you sell under 6 cars a year, then you don't need a dealer's license. If you sell over 6 cars a year, and I could be wrong on these numbers because this was like a few years ago when I last checked, over 6 cars a year, you have to get a dealer's license. In order to be a dealer, you have to have an on-site repair facility capable of servicing the cars that you sell, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's expensive. It's a barrier to entry. And then you got to hire a mechanic. You got to hire a salesperson. You got to hire someone to answer the phone, blah, blah, blah. And that's built in. And these are like, all over the place. Whereas what Tesla does is if your car breaks down, they send it back to L.A. or wherever they are, and they fix it. And they give you a loaner in the meantime, right? Because they don't want to have to put a freaking repair shop in every little town. And that's the system that the local dealers like because they all get a piece of the action. And so they are lobbying to keep that system in place for Tesla. When Tesla's saying, you know what, we can cut costs and reduce the overhead by doing it a different way. And this is all about, we don't want to let the chainsaws in because it's going to affect our axe industry. And that's exactly what this is about. And the government is choosing one side over the other. They're picking winners and losers.
I'll be honest. I find it interesting that it is cheaper for them to ship a car, actually to ship 2 cars, from Los Angeles to New Jersey, than it is to maintain.
They may
the
have
repair
satellites.
mechanic.
They may have regional satellites. But let's be. I mean, how often the drivetrain on an electric car is very different from the drivetrain on a combustible engine vehicle. There's less stuff to go wrong. And I just think they're innovating and they're not stagnant. And the stagnant guys want to preserve their middleman status to protect against the 1920s threat that doesn't exist today. And I think the government is choosing one side over the other, and I don't like that. It's just like when they bailed out the banks, but they did, Alan Furstenberg Industries didn't get a bailout. Cadeas Colette's company didn't get a bailout. I don't like that. Other than 999, the best phrase from the presidential campaign was from what's his name, former pizza guy, who said the government shouldn't pick winners and losers, and I think it's applicable in this case, in my humble opinion. So Elon Musk for the win. Any other thoughts? Okay. All right, so next up is a new study. Oh my God, I just said study. A new study shows Instagram and Snapchat beating Twitter among teens and young adults, and they also discuss some other social networks like Google Plus, for example, and Facebook. So we'll take a quick look at this here. This is from Business Insider, and there's a neat chart here because just like with television advertising, young people are very attractive to advertisers because while Alan and Cadeas and Pam and Sheila and I have all chosen what cologne we like, deodorant we like, whatever, young people are more susceptible to advertising because they haven't made those decisions set in stone yet. And so you see here, Facebook's the leader. 80% of 12 to 24-year-olds have a profile on Facebook versus 58% of everybody, all ages. I assume this is a U.S. survey, but I'm not sure. And then, of course, as you would expect, LinkedIn is 19% for all ages and only 9% for young people because obviously 12 to 24-year-olds would not be as interested in a career-based social network as older folks. And then Instagram, very popular compared to the overall population with young people. And then Google Plus is at 34% for young people. Ever use Twitter? 36% young people. Ever use Snapchat? 46%, and so on. I don't. Alan, what do you think about? I don't find any of this particularly surprising. This is kind of what I would figure. We're seeing that everyone has to maintain a presence on Facebook.
I don't find it even vaguely surprising.
Yeah, you have to maintain a presence on Facebook because so many people are there and nowhere else. But for the but now that all their moms and dads and grandparents and stuff are on, then they are using these other networks, Instagram for photos and Snapchat for basically, I guess, sexting or whatever. So these are niche things. These aren't full-featured social networks. And I think these numbers are pretty much what we'd expected. Go ahead, Alan.
No.
You were on the cusp of something big.
Nope, not even vaguely.
Anybody care about this? They're all shaking their heads. Okay, so those are the new numbers.
Talk about the beer.
Yeah, so this is just a fun topic. So there was this in Idaho.
As Pam takes a drink.
Absolutely. So in Idaho.
I'm actually drinking coffee.
Are you serious?
Completely serious.
Like Kahlua or like coffee?
Caffeine.
Okay.
Simply water, coffee beans, a little bit of 2% milk, and some stevia.
All right, so here's the deal. This is an article from USA Today, and it links to a YouTube video, which you should play. I won't play it because I don't want to get another copyright ping. But this is just sort of a funny story. Big-time scam. These two cups, this one here on the left is $7 at CenturyLink Arena in Idaho. This is the large beer, which is $7, and then this is the cup for the small beer, which is $4. But someone did a YouTube video showing that if you pour this amount into this cup, it's about the same. There's about a ½ ounce to 2 or 3 ounce difference, I think, based on my observation. But it's pretty much the same stuff.
A half ounce to 2 or 3 ounces. That's quite. That's
Well,
quite a.
I mean,
a
it
range.
looked like about a 1 ounce difference. I'm just trying to. I don't have the
If
cups in
that,
my hand.
there's about a 1 ounce
A
difference.
very tiny amount, right? And so basically, they were. It was an illusion here that this tall, skinny cup versus the shorter, by comparison, stouter cup, basically held the exact same amount. And so someone did a YouTube video that went viral, and they poured from the small cup into the large, and it basically filled it up. So it was kind of a scam that they were running. And
Yeah, did you hear the concession manager's I think that was his title, his explanation?
what was that? That they ordered the cups and they got the wrong
No.
ones or something?
No. He said, well, buying the smaller beer is the better value.
Well, there's that. I mean, basically, they could actually win, not the PR war, but the legal war, because large and small are subjective terms. There's no official legal definition. So if it holds, 0.1 ounces more, and if they pour 0.01 ounces more or whatever, then technically it could be called a large, right? Because there's no legal difference. But PR-wise, this is the biggest fail since Subway. My classic fail of all time as far as PR, when the guy in Australia did the measurement of the sub and it was 11 inches, and someone on Facebook posted on the official Australian Subway page said, well, Subway's footlong is a registered trademark and should not be considered determination of the size of the sub, which is just, hilarious. So anyway, guys, what do you think? Is this a big scandal or what?
Are you just trying to pick winners and losers when it comes to beer, Dan? I don't understand.
It's green. In keeping with Irish theme that Moritz initiated here. I just thought it was a funny story. Just an epic fail. But they probably made a lot of money. So they're suing. And the lawyers will make even more money, right? And nobody cares.
So, Dan, how was your Google Plus week?
My Google Plus week was good. We got the paper out last week. And then this week, I shot a video, and I used the teleprompter that I have. And it was amazing. It was for a local realtor, Ken Thurman, good guy. And we shot it 3 times in 3 different spots. And then we got the lighting and everything perfect the 3rd time. So now I'm just waiting for the B-roll to edit that out. And so I'm excited about that. And also, we've got some new stuff with the Area Guides Network that we're going to introduce a new product line. So I'm excited about that. And I'm still looking to hire salespeople. If you're in Northern Virginia, from Winchester, Front Royal, up all the way up toward D.C., if you're looking for a job where you can make 6 figures, let me know. And you can make really good money and sell a product you can be proud of that delivers great value. So that was my Google Plus week. And also, I was following this crazy Malaysian flight story, and all I can think of is it reminds me of the TV show Lost, which is kind of crazy and weird, but it's just, what the hell? Where's this freaking airplane? And I can't imagine. We look at this stuff and you have to think, like, what would it be like to be a family member impacted by this. Obviously, it's awful to lose someone, but to not know if you've lost them or not. Are they on a tarmac somewhere or whatever, that kind of thing. So we'll watch how this plays out. Cadeas, how was your Google Plus week?
Actually, let me go to Sheila quickly. I know she needs to go.
Okay, go ahead,
Sheila, how was your Google Plus week, and did you get photos in for the photo hunt? And how did they go?
I had 2 photos in on the hunt. I just got 2 in.
And for folks who don't know, tell us about what the hunt is.
We will tell you in a minute.
Yeah, Krista Ray Scavenger Hunt. Don't know Krista, you should know her. But only got 2 in. So, and
You saw the next sign up is a week from today, right?
next Friday at noon.
Next Friday, noon Mountain Time.
Yes, right. I'm on it.
Excellent.
That's it for my Google Plus week.
Okay, have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Pam, how was your Google Plus week?
I was recovering from a cold, so I didn't do well. I mean, posted my usual stuff, but nothing exciting or
my usual stuff,
controversial.
Guys with hairy chests and songs and nothing exciting.
When are you going to pose for me?
When am I going to pose for you?
Yeah, never.
Probably not. But speaking of photos, how did you do in the photo hunt?
Actually, I only had 2 as well, and it was my first photo hunt. And if I had seen the pictures from the previous ones before, I probably wouldn't have joined, just because it's very intimidating to see the unbelievable talent from all the participants. It was crazy. But I participated in Spicy and Fuchsia. And go ahead.
Which one was your Fuchsia? Now I need to go find it. Are you gonna post them on your?
I did.
On your stream.
I did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was proud of the pictures that I took, because the truth is I don't know anything about Photoshop. I know very little about the Corel program I use called Paint Shop Pro. I do that digital scrapbooking with that. Mm-hmm. So I can do a little bit of layers and some, sizing things and a little bit of color adjustments and stuff like that. I did these with my phone and Google's editor, and that's it. So for just taking pictures of things and fixing the color a little bit and the lighting, I don't think I did that badly. I mean, I still like those pictures very much that I took, but the talent, the raw talent of the people that participated is incredible, and I was actually privileged to be part of it. I mean, even though I was intimidated, I wasn't, I'm still going to try to get in on the next one.
Good. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to hear. Because
I'm not that intimidated.
To tell you, I've done it every single time, and it intimidates me a lot too. But I learn a little bit every time. I won't say I up my game every time, but I try to do something a little different and learn a little. I try to learn something every time. I was able to.
I'm totally inspired.
That's awesome.
I still have the list, and what I think I'm going to do is between now and next week, I'm going to try and take some other pictures that go with the ones that I didn't participate in and see how they turn out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot. One of the things that's frustrated me a little bit about the hunt is that I don't go for processing all my photos. I don't go for the special effects. That's not the type of photography that I do or that I like to do. I really appreciate the people that do it. So I love looking at it. But I'm not trying to create shots that look that way, that have those special effects. I'm just trying to create really, really good photos. And maybe I will stage some of them or pose some of them, but I'm not going to go hire a model. Maybe I will do a little bit of photo editing, but I'm not going to spend hours combining 5 different photos to get just the right set of layers. And that's fine. I'm doing this because I have fun doing it. I love the challenge.
Yeah.
I got
and if you look at the winners, for the most part, not totally, but they chose photos that run the spectrum from highly processed, super highly processed to very little processing. So I think that comparatively speaking, now I have no idea if behind the scenes it looks like they weren't as highly processed, right?
Well, I got to say, a lot of people are releasing their behind the scenes shots. And that's great to see when some of these people, and some of them are professional photographers. They make real money doing this.
Mm-hmm.
They're releasing how they do what they do, and that's pretty neat to see sometimes.
That's really cool. Yeah, and the more that kind of thing happens, I think the better we all will be, right?
Yes.
So if we can learn from people who do this for a living or whatever, and they're willing to share that in a free way, just, hey, this is how I did this or whatever, that's very valuable for those of us who follow them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'll be releasing my album on Monday. I did 5. A couple of which I want to release the behind-the-scenes shots for as well, though I realized I didn't release the behind-the-scenes shots for my last one.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be releasing it Monday, and I hope that I can sign up on Friday. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. And even if I don't make it, I'll still wait for the list to come out after, and I'll do what I did. What I'm going to do this time is try and come up with some inspiration or whatever, because I might be able to participate in the next one if I don't make it, because they basically sells out in 10 minutes. So
it goes pretty quick sometimes.
Yeah.
Cadeus, how was your Google Plus week?
My week was eventful to say the least. So I didn't.
Oh
really
yeah.
I didn't really get to
the full story of what happened Monday night.
Yeah, we can talk about it after the show. So, but I haven't been on Google Plus most of the week. Today I got pretty active on Google Plus for the first time in a long time, and just playing catch up on everything between TV shows and stuff on Google Plus, and then all the articles I read, plus the articles for the show. So yeah, that's just been my week for the most part.
Cool.
Alan, how was your Google Plus week?
It was incredibly busy. I did a presentation on Google Glass last Saturday. I spent most of this week making some fixes for Voodoo and getting some more ready to go out the door, and then working on my book. So pretty much this week was when I wasn't doing my real job, I was writing a book. And it is fun, or writing or editing a book, because I've been doing a lot of editing of Jason's stuff, and I can't wait to see what he does when he edits mine. It's been, and that's always fun, but it's been hectic, and I'm tired. And I can't believe that it is now midnight and I am still on this show. And Dan's not even sitting in his chair, so I can't even stop talking. Because then we'll have dead air. Maybe if I give dead air, he'll come back to the seat faster.
Maybe I think he got disconnected.
There he is.
And if folks want to find your Voodoo app for Glass, your book's coming out on O'Reilly's publishing platform. I assume that'll be on like Kindle and physical books.
I believe so. I don't have the details though. But yes, it is going to be published by O'Reilly. We're very much looking forward to it. You can find Voodoo at on My Glass, or at voodoo-list.com.
And Voodoo is spelled
VODO.
Excellent. Folks, we appreciate you watching tonight and commenting. We really enjoy the comments, and we share as many as we can. There's some right now. And it's just a blast. You guys are as much a part of the program as we are. And thanks again, as always, to Gerwin for creating the original comment tracker, and for thanks to Moritz for incorporating it into his Hangout Toolbox app. So, folks, we do 2 programs. Our Android Week, which is Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. And this program, Google Plus Week, which is at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We actually started almost on time tonight, 8:33 I think it was, 5:33 p.m. Pacific. We thank you very much for participating and watching. If you watch live or watch afterward, we really enjoy it, and please comment away. So thanks so much, and to all of you. Until next time, have a wonderful Google Plus week.